Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. People in Marvel. My talent can be infinitely enhanced. Chapter 81. Although the Dark Elves live in aliens, Kamataj also has related records. Malekith lived for so many years, even if he lost to Odin, his strength could not be denied. After all, even if they were defeated, they would protect their own people from being completely killed by Odin. And this time, the Dark Elves who followed Malekith were the most elite. It is conceivable that even a few more archmages are not opponents at all. However, it was so easily wiped out by Wang Yang. On the other hand, wouldn't it be easy to deal with the archmage? Although the archmages do not want to admit it, it seems that this is the truth. After all, both Malekith and the elite of the Dark Elves are dead. Modu's heart is complicated, but fortunately, he has been hit by Wang Yang many times. So even if Wang Yang had dealt with the Dark Elves, it didn't seem to matter. Dark Elf, you solved it, but what happened to this mirror space? From then on, Mordo pointed to everything that happened in the mirror space and couldn't help but say. At this time, the entire mirrored space was not covered in gray. Don't look at this as a mirror space, but it is also a reflection of reality. Since Wang Yang can destroy everything here, then everything in Kamataj can also be destroyed. Wang Yang couldn't help but look back at this matter, shrugged his shoulders with a wry smile, and said, accidentally. I didn't hold back. Hog's ancient body is a bit strong. Wang Yang shrugged helplessly. After all, he absorbed the talent of the Hogs. He really couldn't control it easily. He accidentally turned everything in the mirror space into this. The corner of Mordo's eyes twitched, and he was speechless. The archmages in the back are even more complicated, and they accidentally ruined the Kamataj in the mirror space. If this is all done, is it worth it? And the Hogarth Elder, isn't this magic the magic of the Supreme Mage? The key is that it's obviously a defensive magic, isn't it? Can defensive magic still be so powerful? But Wang Yang doesn't seem to have to lie to them. The key is that what happened to Wang Yang seems to be possible, so they really have to believe it. But they are archmage. Wang Yang is just a practicing archmage. In contrast, these archmages are somewhat unworthy of their name. No matter what, there is a feeling of parallel imports. The archmages looked at Wang Yang with a little helplessness, and even thought that such a monster was just a trainee archmage, so are they still worthy of being an archmage? However, as the intruding Dark Elves were eliminated, Kamataj returned to calm again. Wang Yang can learn magic again. The stronger the magic, the more secure he feels. It's just that Wang Yang was also a little helpless. He felt that the eyes of those archmages looking at him seemed a little strange. Especially when he went to salute, these great masters were a little afraid to accept it, so they quickly returned the salute, as if they were afraid of neglecting him. This made Wang Yang somewhat uncomfortable. After all, he is a person who respects the teacher and the Tao. Even if he is powerful, he should be respected. This is character, but over time, he got used to it. Just respect each other. He has returned to a peaceful life again, and has time to teach Strange, or go to the library to read magic books and learn new magic. However, Strange is obviously very interested in the ancient body of Hogs, and hopes to learn it. It's not that Wang Yang is unwilling to teach, but the most important thing for Strange right now is to lay a solid foundation. So Wang Yang promised that as long as Strange mastered all the magic he taught before, he would teach him. In the residence of the Supreme Master, the Supreme Mage sat at the coffee table, opposite Mordo. During this time, the Supreme Mage was no longer at Kamataj, because Dormammu had signs of invading again, so she went to stop Dormammu. And when she came back, she found that many parts of Kamataj were being rebuilt. Obviously something happened. This made Ji Yuyi a little curious about what happened during the time she was out. Mordo, what should have happened during the time I was out? Report to the Supreme Mage. During the time you were out, the Dark Elves invaded, and we also suffered a lot of losses. Many excellent mages also died because of this. Mordo said sadly. Although Wang Yang is very simple to deal with those Dark Elves, for ordinary mages, Dark Elves are still very terrifying. Coupled with the leadership of the leader of the Dark Elves, Kamataj also suffered huge losses. Many mages also died as a result. Click. There was a thunder in the sky. A gloomy atmosphere condensed in the sky. As if the gods were angry, there were countless thunders shining in the dark clouds. Mordo seemed to feel it too, and cold sweat could not help pouring out of his face. In front of him, Ji Yuyi still looked extremely calm, but she could imagine her anger. You reading. But at this time, Ji Yuyi still said in a gentle voice, "Come on, tell me, what happened at that time?" Mordo couldn't help but be afraid. But he also knew that this was the anger of the Supreme Mage. He still remembered that when Dormammu invaded last time, Kamatage also killed a lot of mages, but Dormammu did not appear again for more than 10 years, and even the minions who followed Dormammu were killed and injured more than half. This is the Supreme Mage, the guardian of the earth. Mordo had a strong respect for the Supreme Mage, took a sip of water, demonstrated his awe, and then began to tell what happened when the Dark Elves invaded. As such that, including that he was easily defeated and seriously injured by Malekith, and then Wang Yang came and defeated Malekith's team of Dark Elves with one person, etc. Ji Yuyi suddenly interrupted Moro's words. "You mean, Wang Yang killed all the Dark Elf leaders and elites by himself?" "That's right, Supreme Mage." Mordo nodded solemnly. Click. A slight cracking sound sounded, and Mordo saw that the teacup in the hands of the Supreme Mage was broken. Mordo is not surprised, and it is estimated that anyone who hears it will be shocked. But Mordo didn't say it, and pretended to be drinking tea, pretending he didn't notice it. Ji Yuyi very calmly dropped the fragments. "In my heart, I was very surprised that Wang Yang actually defeated the leader of the Dark Elves and the elite troops by himself. Obviously Wang Yang is still so young. Although Wang Yang's talent is really powerful. But it shouldn't be possible to do that." Ji Yuyi's first reaction was that he didn't believe it, knowing that the Dark Elves were about to be wiped out despite being beaten by Odin. At that time, it did not mean that Malekith was not powerful. On the contrary, his strength was considered to be the top of the 9 countries. Even the archmages under his command basically have no one to be his opponent. Coupled with the elite Dark Elves who followed him, this kind of strength may not be easily subdued even if they enter Asgard. But now Wang Yang actually killed the Dark Elf with just one person. Is it possible? When did Wang Yang have such power? Ji Yuyi's thoughts were constantly surging at this time. Surprise, disbelief, complexities kept surging in her mind. After she became the Supreme Mage, she has rarely been so rude. Wang Yang only entered Kamatage and studied for less than half a year, and has already achieved such power, killing the leaders and elites of the Dark Elves. This is a little too outrageous. But anyway, this is a good thing for Kamatage, at least after her death. Ji Yuyi took a deep breath, and a gentle smile appeared on his face. "Okay, go on, how did Wang Yang kill Malekith? Is it used for some forbidden magic?" In Kamatage, there are also several powerful forbidden magics, which can exert some powerful and incredible power. However, there is a heavy price to be paid. If Wang Yang really used it, he really wanted to see if the child had anything to do with it. Modu raised his head, gave Ji Yuyi a strange look, and then said, "According to Wang Yang, he has never used forbidden magic." "What magic did he use?" Ji Yuyi took another cup, then poured himself a cup of tea and said, "There is more than one kind of magic with this kind of power." Wang Yang said that he used the ancient body of hogs. Mordo said with a wry smile. And Ji Yuyi, who originally picked up the cup to drink water, after hearing this, her cup burst again, and the hot tea fell on her hand, but she didn't care at all. The ancient body of hogs. How is this possible? Unsettled waves appeared in Ji Yuyi's heart. Isn't the ancient body of hogs a defensive magic? What other powerful force can't be achieved? Mordo quickly said everything. After Ji Yuyi regained his calm, he wiped his hands. After Mordo finished speaking, he also sighed. To be honest, at that time, he himself was a little incredible. "Supreme Master, I almost failed to protect Kamatage." After Mordo said everything, he said sadly. After all, as an archmage, he was unable to stop the Dark Elves, and almost let these Dark Elves break in. "Okay, I don't mean to blame you, you have done a good job, and you have shown the Grand Master's bearing. It's not your fault that you can't beat Malekith," Ji Yuyi said calmly. Mordo couldn't help but smile bitterly. It would be fine if everyone was so weak. However, Wang Yang, who had only 1/10 of the time to learn magic, could actually destroy the Dark Elf leader and the elite troops by himself. Okay, go and call Wang Yang, I want to talk to him. Ji Yuyi naturally didn't know the complexities in Mordo's heart. At this time, after Mo Du heard Ji Yuyi's words, he immediately responded, yes, Supreme Mage. Then Mo Du got up, saluted respectfully, and then stepped back. Soon Mo Du found Wang Yang, who was reading in the library, and asked him to go to Ji Yuyi's residence. When Wang Yang went to the residence of Master Ji Yuyi, he was thinking about one thing. Originally, the Dark Elves should have attacked Asgard. Could it be that because of my appearance, the world has changed? It has become a parallel world of the Marvel world. Wang Yang thought so, and after a while, he arrived at Ji Yuyi's residence. Supreme Mage, are you looking for me? Wang Yang humbly bowed to Ji Yu. He has always respected and worshipped the strongest Karma-Taj. Come on, sit down, don't be nervous. A gentle smile appeared on Ji Yuyi's face. Wang Yang sat down cautiously. Ji Yuyi poured a cup of tea for Wang Yang, and then said, I came to you because I have something I want to ask you. Excuse me. Wang Yang nodded, looked at Ji Yuyi and said, what do you think of Dark Elves? Ji Yuyi said with a smile. View, no, they are just one of the thousands of races in the universe. Wang Yang said noncommittally. No prejudice. Ji Yuyi looked at Wang Yang deeply, then nodded and said, very good. Hearing Wang Yang's answer, Ji Yuyi looked at Wang Yang very satisfied. The more I look at it, the more satisfied I become. Supreme Master, what are you looking for me for? Wang Yang didn't understand why the Supreme Master asked this question. Of course there is something. Ji Yuyi smiled and then said, first of all, I want to congratulate you, Wang Yang, you are now an Archmage. Archmage. Inappropriate. Wang Yang couldn't help but smile bitterly. I've only learned magic for less than half a year. Don't refuse, other Archmages have already recognized this matter. Ji Yuyi seemed to remember something when he heard the words, and smiled very happily. Wang Yang is not only the youngest Archmage of Karma-Taj, but also the most special one. Almost all the Archmages now, including Mo Du, hope that she can promote Wang Yang to an Archmage whenever they see her. It is because Wang Yang is too evil, and their pressure is too great in case, after going out in the future, Wang Yang is too strong. Others see that a trainee Archmage is so powerful, but the Archmage is so weak. Then what would others think of them? But if Wang Yang was also an Archmage, they would have less pressure. At least the Archmage is strong and weak. Ji Yuyi still finds these things very interesting. However, Wang Yang was a little embarrassed about this. He sighed in his heart, feeling helpless. He didn't want to be an Archmage at all. After all, what are the benefits of being an Archmage? It seems that it is only trouble. Nowhere, Collector, Star-Lord and a few members who have just been fooled by him are making deals with collectors. As the daughter of Thanos, Gamora naturally knew the collector Tiwan. Tiwan, we have traveled halfway across the galaxy to bring the cosmic sphere. Gamora looked at Collector Tiwan and said, very good, let me see what you brought. The collector glanced at Star-Lord behind him. Star-Lord also glanced at him from behind, and took out a silver-white metal ball with an intricate pattern from his backpack. Star-Lord almost dropped the spirit ball on the ground, but fortunately he was agile and grabbed it again. Then he handed the spirit ball to Tiwan. Tiwan took the spirit ball and looked at the patterns on the universe spirit ball. His eyes were full of enthusiasm. Then Tiwan put the spirit ball on the instrument and began to explain it to Star-Lord and the others. My new friends, before the universe began, there were a total of 6 singularities. Tiwan turned on the instrument, and circles of light appeared in the sky at the same time. Tiwan then said, then the Big Bang created everything, and the residues of these 6 singularities were collected and condensed into gems, called infinity gems. At this time, the instrument was slowly opening the spirit ball, and the spirit ball was emitting a strong light. These gems seemed to be mastered only with extraordinary power. Please see. One of the pictures shows a giant in armor and holding a scepter. These carriers can destroy entire civilizations with the help of gems. As his words fell, the giant staff fell to the ground, a terrifying purple light spread out, and the entire planet collapsed and disintegrated. For them, it's as easy as harvesting wheat. When Xingju saw this scene, he couldn't help but say in shock, I'm already scared to pee. Collector Tiwan ignored Star-Lord and continued. there was a time when an organization successfully controlled this energy together, but even so, they were quickly destroyed by this force. At this time, the universe spirit ball was opened, revealing a gem in the spirit ball, emitting a dazzling light. Looking at the gem that appeared in front of him, Tiwan was very excited and intoxicated. It's so beautiful. Incomparable. But unfortunately, he didn't notice that there was a maid behind him watching all this. Hearing the words of the collector Tiwan, Rocket Raccoon couldn't help but exaggerately said, "I'm addicted to it, buy Mao, but we prefer to get money. How would you like to pay?" Tiwan looked at Rocket Raccoon. Rocket Raccoon said, "Of course, what do you think? Playboy, of course it's cash." And while they were talking, the maid was slowly approaching the gem, with a blurry look in her eyes. At this time, the collector Tiwan found the maid approaching the gem and shouted, "Karina, don't approach." However, the maid shouted wildly, "I will never be your slave again." Saying that, he grabbed the gem directly. Collector Tiwan shouted, "No." The maid directly grabbed the Infinity Stone, but the power of the Infinity Stone was beyond his control. As powerful as Thanos, he also needs the Infinity Gauntlet to control this terrifying force. And the moment the maid grabbed the Infinity Stone, the power in her body went out of control, and a violent explosion occurred. The collector's collection was destroyed by the energy of this color. Star-Lord and the others hurriedly dodged, and could not help but be affected. The entire explosion spread to dozens of meters nearby. After the explosion, Star-Lord got up from behind a metal platform and said in shock, "I'll go." Gamora quickly got up and merged the spirit ball. Then pick up the spirit ball. How can I believe that Tiwan knows how to control the things in the cosmic sphere? Gamora walked out of Tiwan's damaged collection. Seeing that Gamora actually took out this thing, Rocket Raccoon said in shock, "What are you still holding?" Star-Lord smiled bitterly, "What if you don't? Stay there." Rocket Raccoon ignored Star-Lord, "You even put it in your purse." Star-Lord added, "It's not a purse, it's a backpack." Then Gamora interrupted their discussion and continued, "Maybe someone knows how to control the cosmic sphere." But when they first came out, they found out that the accuser Ronan was already waiting here. This is a powerful army belonging to the Kree Empire, and it has terrifying technological firepower in its hands. Coupled with the Thanos behind him, he can be said to be unscrupulous. Want to break directly into the void of collectors, want to the cosmic spirit ball in the hands of Star-Lord. In desperation, Star-Lord had no choice but to turn on the mining machine that was used for mining in the void, and escape quickly. And Drax the Destroyer, who is not afraid of death, will fight Ronan one-on-one. Even if his strength is already very powerful, it is not comparable to ordinary people, and there is no comparison at all in the face of the powerful Ronan. They were beaten directly by Ronan, and then threw them into the pool. Fortunately, the tree Groot appeared and rescued them. The members of the Guardians of the Galaxy are also reunited again. However, Ronan's firepower is very powerful, and the Kree people who are looking at it gather together and want to arrest the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. In the end, the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy successfully boarded the spaceship and flew out of the void. Star-Lord drove the spaceship and quickly avoided Ronan's attack. "Hurry up and find the jumping point, we have to get out of here immediately. Otherwise, we will be smashed into scum by the Kree energy weapons." Rocket Raccoon shouted, "I know, shut up, I'm working hard." Star-Lord hurriedly operated the spacecraft. The spaceship kept shuttling under various artillery fires, and soon they found a wormhole. In this case, they didn't care whether the wormhole was recorded in the star map, and rushed in directly. After the space shuttle, a spaceship appeared in the space. "Where is this place?" Star-Lord looked at the unfamiliar environment and asked. "There, a small remote planet. We can hide here, in the universe, to avoid Ronan's fleet is courting death." Gamora pointed to a distant planet and said. Hearing Gamora's words, Star-Lord didn't say a word and flew directly towards the blue planet. At this time on Earth, people who have been busy walking on the streets are in a hurry. I don't know if they are in a hurry to go to work or to go home. But at this moment, they all stopped suddenly. They looked towards his sky, and countless shadows appeared above the sky. Is it about to change? Maybe. Go home quickly. Quote. They thought so, and the pace under their feet became faster. But what they didn't know was that outside the planet, countless fleets appeared in the starry sky, blocking half of the starry sky. It's just that the military power on Earth has not been detected, as if these fleets do not exist at all. For the Kree Empire, the technology of a planet simply cannot reach the point where they can be discovered. As long as they do not want to be discovered, the other party cannot discover them. The accuser, it has been determined that those little bugs have entered the C-14 planet. A subordinate looked at Ronan and said respectfully, "Do we need to attack?" On the fleet, many soldiers looked at Ronan and waited for Ronan's order to enter this planet. After all, Ronan is famous in the universe. When they see such a small planet, they will directly destroy the landmark civilization. And this time it must be the case for them. But what they didn't expect was that Ronan didn't give this order this time. Send a team to this C-14 planet and bring back the cosmic spirit ball. Ronan seemed to have thought of something, frowned slightly, and then spoke. Hearing Ronan's words, his subordinates responded. Ronan looked at the huge blue planet in front of him, and his expression gradually became a little ugly. If he had changed to another planet, he would have said nothing, but that woman. Carol. Ronan couldn't help but have some memories in his mind. Decades ago, they were ordered by the highest artificial intelligence of the Kree Empire to come here, destroy a planet, and kill their defected team member, Carol Danvers. That is, the famous Captain Marvel in the universe. Only that time, his fleet suffered heavy losses, which reduced his strength by more than half. He had no choice but to retreat. Was beaten by one person to retreat. And he was threatened not to be here half a step from now on. Although Ronan really wanted to destroy the planet and let him vent his anger, he also taught Captain Marvel a lesson. Just thinking of the terrifying power of Captain Marvel, Ronan is still a little terrified. But if he can get the cosmic spirit ball, Carol, as long as I can get the cosmic spirit ball, I'll see how you fight against me and let you know what post-pain is. Ronan clenched his fists, and then said in a low voice, "And Thanos, I will definitely find you to settle the bill." At this time, Ronan could only be incompetent and furious in his heart. Although he is helping Thanos now, in fact, he is just giving an explanation to Thanos. Thanos promised him to help him destroy the entire Xandar planet. However, he could naturally see that Thanos was just using him now. Of course, why isn't he? Now he has a better choice. As long as he can get the cosmic spirit ball, he can get more powerful power. At that time, it may be possible to deal with Thanos. Thinking of this, Ronan got a little excited. "Prepare the landing ship for me, and I will retrieve the cosmos ball myself." Ronan couldn't help but give an order directly. "Yes." Hearing Ronan's order, a Kree soldier hurriedly answered. Then he led Ronan and a group of Kree into the landing ship. In the huge fleet, a small landing ship flew out and flew directly towards the Earth. Although the technology of the Earth cannot be compared with the technology of the Kree people, it is not nothing. Especially S.H.I.E.L.D., which was created specifically to deal with this situation. At this time, S.H.I.E.L.D., in Nick Fury's office. In front of him is a technological instrument. S.H.I.E.L.D.'s technology far exceeds the level of technology displayed on the outside Earth. Nick Fury, the Kree is back. Opposite Nick Fury, Agent Hill spoke directly across the desk. It should be directed by Ronan. Nick Fury just glanced at Agent Hill, and then said, "With me, you can talk to me without this face." Just as his words fell, the originally beautiful Agent Hill had some rays of light shining, and then directly became a Skrull with a green head. It was Nick Fury who was Skrull decades ago. Why did Ronan appear on Earth again? If they were to deal with you, they shouldn't be here, right? Nick Fury asked with some doubts. If Ronan just wanted to hunt down the Skrulls, he should go to the depths of the universe. After all, Captain Marvel has helped the Skrulls find another habitable planet in the depths of the universe. And when they parted, Carol had told him, Ronan has already been warned by her and should not appear here. The Skrulls across from him didn't care about this. He said, "Although I don't know why Ronan came here, I know you're in big trouble. You better call Carol back." The Skrull looked at Nick Fury and said. Nick Fury opened the drawer and kept a small communicator in the drawer. Looking at this communicator, Nick Fury had a strange expression on his face. But after being silent for a while, instead of picking it up, he closed the drawer directly, but after thinking about it, he still put it in his pocket. I'm not going to get Carol back, we have the Avengers, they will solve this problem. Nick Fury stood up and said, "It's better, but I don't think it can be so easy." The Skrull shook his head helplessly and said. However, Nick Fury didn't care about the Skrull's words. Instead, he shook his head calmly, then initiated a communication and summoned the members of the Avengers. At his call, the members of the Avengers quickly assembled. Even Thor in Asgard, rushed back to Earth. They gathered in the Stark building, waiting for Nick Fury to assign a mission. Nick Fury looked at these powerful people with his one eye. Avengers, we are in big trouble now. The accuser Ronin's fleet has come to Earth. As for Nick Fury's words, only Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow listened carefully, but Tony Stark ate a handful of blueberries and then said casually, "Ronin the accuser. What is that? Human? A circus clown?" Thor's expression couldn't help changing and said, "Ronin the accuser, the supreme commander of the Kree Empire, controls a huge fleet. The Kree Empire is a huge empire that is not inferior to Asgard at all, and the supreme commander is the equivalent of your general here, holding a powerful military force. If they really invade, I'm afraid the Earth will really be in trouble." I heard Thor say that. The expressions of the members of the Avengers could not help but turn serious. When they were with Thor, they often heard Thor talk about his Asgard. Asgard, who can rule the 9 realms, is enough to prove its power. And with Thor's proud character, the Kree Empire can now be described as so powerful, I am afraid it will be even more powerful in reality. Such a powerful cosmic empire has mastered a powerful civilization of thousands of planets. Now that they have suddenly come to Earth, they can naturally see the seriousness of this matter. At this time, Tony Stark stopped eating, but became serious and said, "It seems that this time is a little troublesome." "What should we do now, sir?" Captain America said to Nick Fury. "Find Ronin and defeat him." At this time, in the meeting room of the Stark building, Tony Stark couldn't help but asked, "Isn't he in the fleet?" "How to find it?" "Go to the fleet. If they go to the fleet, these people will be given for nothing." Nick Fury shook his head and said, "Ronin also came to Earth with the troops, and he doesn't know what to do. But catch the thief first and catch the king. As long as you can defeat him, you can temporarily solve this problem." Hearing this, Captain America and the others nodded. If they can really catch Ronin, they naturally don't have to worry. Wait, he has a powerful fleet, if he orders the cannons. Tony Stark is well aware of the power of technology, and terrifying technological weapons are extremely powerful. If a cosmic force of this level wanted to use powerful force against them, they would probably not be able to resist at all. The destruction of the Earth is only a matter of moments. For Tony Stark's question, Nick Fury has not explained, but Thor on the side explained directly, "You can rest assured that the Kree are the kind of race that advocates martial arts. As long as we are on Earth, defeating with Ronin, they won't fire at Earth." Nick Fury nodded and said, "That's right, that's it. Now what we need is to find Ronin and defeat him among a large number of Kree soldiers to solve this crisis." Tony Stark said calmly, "As long as there is no attack with too much destructive weapons, it will not be difficult, but they are just some ordinary soldiers, killing them is easy. Kree and Asgardians are a powerful race. Although it is unlikely that every warrior has the strength of a captain, it was estimated that it was not too far away at the time." Nick Fury glanced at Tony Stark to remind him. When Stark heard Nick Fury's words, the expression on his face froze. Captain America can fight back and forth with him even in armor. If this is all so powerful, they probably won't be able to take advantage of it. But for the sake of the Earth, they must stand up. S.H.I.E.L.D. is already very powerful on Earth, and can control cameras on Earth for their use. Although the technology level of the Kree people is far beyond that of the Earth, as long as they appear under the camera, they can find their traces. Soon there was news from S.H.I.E.L.D. In New York. Stark is also searching on his mobile phone, which is faster than S.H.I.E.L.D. "Why is this Kree Ronin in New York?" Stark looked at the data and said in disbelief. "Ronin seems to be chasing someone. Those people should be hiding in New York." S.H.I.E.L.D. also found another ship. Hearing this, Tony Stark couldn't help but ponder. Then New York is really troubled. "Okay, don't say these are useless, it's time to go. Avengers, the safety of the Earth depends on you." Nick Fury glanced at Stark. Unborn Tony Stark usually acts like a fool, but when something like this happens, he moves the fastest. They dispatched immediately, and then locked Ronan's position. Near Greenwich Village. This is an ordinary neighborhood, and there are usually not many civilians. After the Avengers knew Ronan's location, they hurried over, but along the way, they also saw a lot of people fleeing quickly. And there was a huge explosion. Tony Stark was a little anxious. Come on, Ronan has already started. Then, a strong propulsive flame spewed out from under his feet, and quickly went forward. The others quickly followed. Soon they had seen Ronan. At this time, Ronan was holding a huge hammer in his hand, and there were several people lying on the ground. And in his hand is already holding a round sphere. What is that? Tony Stark felt that this breath was a little familiar, and it seemed to be similar to that of the Ketarians who invaded the Earth not long ago. No matter what it is, grab it and talk about it. Captain America spoke directly. Raise your hands, invaders, you are surrounded. Tony Stark stood above the void, with both hands facing Ronan. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a few Kree people protected Ronan's vicinity and attacked Stark with laser weapons. Bang! Tony Stark didn't stop anymore, and directly fired a beam of energy from his palm, heading straight for Ronan and the others. Boom! The ground roared. Several Kree were directly blown away. Whoosh! Thor flew directly with the hammer and slammed it towards Ronan. Ronan, leave the Earth immediately. The Earth is the territory of our Asgard. Do you want to start a war? Boom! A Kree was directly smashed and flew out. Asgardians are actually here too. Ronan looked at an Iron Man, a Thor, and another with a bow and arrow at him, and one with a shield. His expression also flashed a bit of solemnity, but then he looked at the cosmic spirit ball in his hand. Inside is a terrifying power gem. At the moment, he directly opened the universe spirit ball. A burst of purple energy burst out in it. Even Tony Stark felt that his armor was affected by this power. It really is an infinity stone. When Thor saw this scene, he couldn't help being shocked, and then rushed directly to Ronan. He couldn't let Ronan use this power. And he is a god, and only he can resist this ray. That's too late. Ronan grabbed the purple gem directly, and a terrifying force spread out. His complexion was also a little distorted. Obviously, even he could not resist the power of this gem. Ronan looked at his hammer and placed the gem directly on it. At the same time, a powerful force spread to him along the hammer. At this moment, even his eyes turned purple. What a powerful force! Ronan felt this powerful force, and the hammer in his hand suddenly hit the ground. Boom! A terrifying purple force spread out, and the surrounding houses were directly destroyed by this impact force at this moment. Screams, howls, and cries came and went. Ronan! Tony Stark roared and rushed over. A terrifying laser energy erupted from his hand, heading straight for Ronan's forehead. Ronan's reaction was also very fast. He raised his hand to block. The powerful force, under the power of the Infinity Stone, could not get close at all. Then Ronan slammed the hammer in his hand, and a purple light shot out directly, hitting a Stark, and Stark was directly knocked out. What Ronan didn't realize was that the New York Temple, which was located nearby, was mostly destroyed by Ronan's blow just now. At this time, the New York Temple collapsed by more than half. Many of the facilities inside were directly damaged. This made the mages very angry. He directly reported this time to Kamataj, and the mage guarding the temple rushed out. I found that many Kree people have already started to destroy in New York. Naturally, their Kamataj mages couldn't let these alien Kree do so much damage to the Earth, especially since these Kree people also destroyed their New York temple. Now the mages began to deal with the Kree. However, after the fight, I found that the strength of these Kree people is actually very strong, and they directly beat each other, especially the high-tech weapons in their hands are extremely powerful. Fortunately, many mages from Kamataj came to help at this time, and then pulled these Kree people into the mirror space. However, even their combined mirror space cannot hold too much at all. After just pulling in dozens of them, the magic of these mages has reached its limit. After all, not everyone's magic can be compared with Wang Yang's magic. At this time, there are still a large number of Kree Empire soldiers wandering and destroying. Tony Stark and Captain America are already struggling to deal with the mad Ronan, and there are terrifying purple rays of light radiating out. Even hearing the news that kept coming, I was a little helpless. Kamatage, inside the main hall. The archmages have also gathered together. Mordo was still sitting in the chair. Everyone should know that the Kree Empire invaded and destroyed more than half of our New York temple. The Supreme Mage has already gone to deal with the huge fleet outside, and we need to deal with things on Earth. We must stop their destruction. Now Wong led the Mage Brigade to delay most of the Kree Empire soldiers. Everyone needs to bring a few mages with each other to track the remaining soldiers of the Kree Empire and protect human safety. Is there any problem? Mordo asked the person below. Here are the strongest among Kamatage's great mages, so naturally they will not raise any objections. Since I have no problem, let's go now. Yes. After hearing Modu's words, most of the great mages stood up, including Wang Yang. Wang Yang felt strange at this time, although he had already guessed that the world seemed to change because of his arrival. Not only did the Dark Elves come to Earth, but even the Kree. Although the Kree originally had a grudge against the Earth, he naturally knew the feud between the Kree and Captain Marvel. The Marvel world won't change completely. Wang Yang was depressed in his heart. He originally wanted to practice magic in Kamatage, to prepare for the snap of Thanos' fingers in the future. I didn't expect so many things to happen. Wait, Wang Yang, wait a minute. At this moment, Mordo said. Master Mordo, what instructions do you have? Wang Yang shook off the thoughts in his mind and asked respectfully. Your strength is very strong, you should be able to only bring Kamidal. Mordo thought for a while and said. No problem, Master Mordo. Wang Yang nodded, not to mention bringing a mage, even if you don't bring him, it's not a big problem. Very good, Wang Yang, I need you to pick up Ronan and try to stop the soldiers of the Kree Empire. You should be the only one who can do it. Mordo said very cautiously. After all, this time, it is facing alien high-tech, and there are also infinity stones. With Wang Yang's magical power second only to the Supreme Mage, if he can't stop the soldiers of the Kree Empire, then the other Archmage can't do it either. No problem. Wang Yang nodded directly. Very good, this time it's up to you. Mordo nodded in satisfaction. Wang Yang turned around and went to the temple hall to enter the New York temple. Kamidal has also arrived here, waiting to enter the war with Wang Yang. Then the two were directly teleported to the New York temple. I saw that the New York temple at this time had been destroyed in a mess, and a large number of buildings had collapsed, and most of the buildings could already see the sky. These Kree Empire actually turned our Kamatage New York temple into this. Kamida was furious. Okay, the situation is urgent, Master Kamidal, let's go. Wang Yang is not in the mood to pay attention to the current state of the destruction of the temple. Since the temple has been destroyed like this, then Ronan should have obtained the Infinity Stones. Obviously, Ronan should have robbed the Infinity Stones from Star-Lord, and then went to Xandar to take revenge. How could he come to Earth? Okay, let's go. Kamidal couldn't help but nodded, and Wang Yang didn't have time to think about it, and left the New York temple to look for the Kree soldiers. Then Wang Yang began to explore the area of the Kree soldiers, and soon after Wang Yang opened his eyes, they had already found the Kree soldiers. I found it, let's go. Wang Yang raised his hand to draw a circle, and a portal appeared in front of them. Wang Yang was about to walk into it. Kamidal quickly grabbed Wang Yang and said, You're crazy, now the whole of New York has been shrouded in a huge magic circle, you can't you opening the portal at will only make the portal unstable. When? Really don't die. You must know that after the opening of the New York magic array, it will have a great impact on the magic of the mage. And the portal has the greatest impact. After all, once the portal is closed under unstable factors, the mages who enter it may also be divided into two. In this case, the only person who can open the portal is the Supreme Mage. I didn't expect Wang Yang to dare to do so. Don't worry, Master Kamidal. Wang Yang was noncommittal and entered the portal directly. Before absorbing the Supreme Mage's talent, he naturally didn't dare to do so, but after absorbing it, his control over magic went to a higher level. Even with the interference of the magic circle, he can easily stabilize the portal. Only ordinary mages could not stabilize the portal under such interference. Then Wang Yang entered directly. What a pervert. Watching Wang Yang enter the portal, Kamidal could only smile bitterly, and immediately rushed into the portal, for fear that he would be completely cut by the portal if he slowed down. At this time, in a square, it is the New York Square. As Ronan mastered the Infinity Stone, a terrifying force erupted with the hammer he swung, and even Thor was easily knocked out. Captain America's clothes were all torn apart. If it wasn't for Iron Man, Captain America would have died in Ronan's hands. And the blue-skinned figure in the distance between them, with a huge hammer in his hand, looked at the two of them. "You are all going to die, Carol. Watch, I will kill them one by one." At this time, Ronan could be said to be proud. The embarrassment that was repelled by Carol alone, and the powerlessness driven by Thanos, now he feels that he can destroy everything by himself. Even now that Carol appeared in front of him again, he didn't care at all. Not to mention the few little bugs in front of them who have some strength to resist. At the same time, the armor on Tony Stark was accumulating power, and the energy that was continuously absorbed by the energy cannon in his chest was shot out at that instant. Boom! The terrifying beam of light hit Ronan directly, but Ronan was not injured in the slightest. What is this monster? Seeing this scene, Stark couldn't help but scolded him, knowing that his energy cannon could not be blocked even by bulletproof armor, but it was easily blocked by this man. At this moment, a purple light swept in and directly knocked Stark down from the sky. "Kill these earth bugs." Ronan issued an order, and at the same time, a purple light appeared on one of the Kree team captains, apparently sharing the power of the Infinity Stones. Then Ronan went to the next place to destroy. As for Tony Stark, these people were directly handed over to their subordinates. These Kree soldiers became stronger physically, and they kept approaching without fear of death, regardless of his energy attacks. Bang bang bang. Although he knocked down a few Kree soldiers, Tony couldn't help feeling cold at this time. Because several Kree soldiers had already captured him, and even broke the armor on his body. It was only then that he understood that what is meant by two fists being invincible to four hands, and what is meant by armor is not as strong as the physical body of others. My little life is over. Tony Stark's heart sank at this moment. As his helmet was lifted, his face was exposed. A blue hand has grabbed it. Just when Tony Stark felt that he was dead, the Kree's head fell directly. What's the situation? It seems that there was just a flash of white light just now, and the soldier of the Kree Empire died. High-density energy structure detected, sir. Jarvis' voice rang in his ear. High-density energy structure. How dense is this thing? Tony Stark is a bit incredible. He often encounters this high-density energy in his experiments, but the energy density in front of him seems to be stronger than the energy structure he has ever seen. The power of the high-density energy just now is likely to be 3 times that of the reactor in Mr. S chest. Jarvis' voice sounded again. Hearing Jarvis' voice, Tony Stark couldn't help taking a deep breath. How is this possible? What can reach the energy of the reactor in his chest? This energy can generate electricity for a district for a month. Does such a perverted thing still exist? The key is that he also saw such a terrifying thing in someone else's hands. Although he has already met a terrifying person. When dealing with the alien invasion last time, a few people in monk robes appeared to help them. And this time it was 2 people in monk robes. But what was even more terrifying this time than last time was that such a terrifying thing was actually in the hands of one of them, like an arm. The key is that the man's other hand is still holding a flaming sword. Then he took a closer look, and sure enough, this person was the one he saw last time. It's you. Who are you? Tony Stark picked up the mask and installed it again. Although it was damaged a bit, it was barely usable. Last time, he had already wanted to ask this person how to control this powerful energy, but last time they left too quickly. How on earth did you do it? Tony Stark looked at Wang Yang and said with some shock in his heart. Wang Yang said noncommittally, rely on your own heart and concentration. What depends on your heart? What concentration? Tony Stark, who is a materialist, can't imagine such a statement of concentration and relying on his own heart. It's just relying on your own heart and concentration. With that said, Wang Yang raised his hand and slammed the chain out of his left hand. In an instant, a soldier of the Particle Empire pulled over, and then slashed out the sacred sword of Emperor Weixin in his hand. Stab it. In the eyes of Captain America and Tony Stark, the soldiers of the Kree Empire, who were extremely powerful, were directly cut off at this time. Although I have seen it before, this time it seems to be more powerful than the last time. At this time, Jarvis couldn't help but send an alarm. Detecting an exponentially increasing energy explosion in front of him, it may be the reaction of some unknown energy about to explode, and its power may be equivalent to a large nuclear reactor. Please leave as soon as possible. Jarvis' voice was warning. Tony Stark was also shocked in his heart. It wasn't so powerful last time. I haven't seen it in a short time. Is the power of this sword already so powerful? I am afraid it can destroy a small town, and this power is only in the hands of one person. Compared with Wang Yang, Tony Stark feels that his technology is really weak. Even Tony, who has always been arrogant, was a little hit. At this time, Captain America also came over. I didn't expect to save me again this time. Wang Yang shook his head and said, "No need to thank you, there are still many people who need your help, and your team members don't seem to be in good shape now." He frowned. He could feel that Ronan's power was getting stronger and stronger. He could feel the powerful power even from such a distance. Heard this, Captain America nodded and said, "Thank you, I will reward you in the future. By the way, this person doesn't seem to be Ronan." Wang Yang looked at the blue figure standing in the center of the square. Although this person is also holding a hammer, the purple light emanating from his body is not considered powerful. Ronan didn't know what method he used to spread the purple power from his body to his subordinates, and these Kree people seemed to have Ronan's power, with a powerful destructive power. Captain America looked at the reaction in the center of the square, his expression a little dignified. "It seems that we can only kill this Kree first." Wang Yang frowned and said, "Don't act rashly, that Kree has the power of gems, if we..." Tony Stark also suppressed the depression in his heart at this time, ready to use tactics together with Wang Yang, and then kill the opponent. After all, even if the opponent is not Ronan, a small captain is enough to make them difficult to deal with. It's just that before Tony Stark could finish speaking, Wang Yang rushed up and waved his hand. The scarlet chains spurted out, splitting up countless moments to entangle the Kree. At the same time, the sacred sword of Weixin Emperor in his hand exuded terrifying power, directly turned into terrifying rays of light, and slashed out. In an instant, the Kree, who had the power of destruction and was not afraid of the power of his armor, landed on his head. "What did you say?" Wang Yang looked back at Tony Stark. If it wasn't for Tony Stark being blocked by the armor, he would have been shocked to see his mouth open wide. Tony Stark couldn't help but open his mouth wide. "Although this Kree is not Ronan, you must know that even ordinary Kree are powerful, not to mention the Kree who have gained gem power. But now it's being killed so easily. Tony, let's go." Captain America's voice sounded, awakening the still shocked Tony Stark. "Okay." Tony Stark nodded sullenly. Wang Yang watched the two leave, then waved his hand to open a portal again. "Let's go, Master Kamidal." "Wang Yang, why didn't that Ronan kill them just now?" Kamidal was a little curious. If Ronan had stayed here just now, they wouldn't have to rush to pursue him. "Is it because you know Wang Yang is coming?" People who invade this kind are very confident, especially confident that they can defeat each other, and want to let them experience the arrival of death. Wang Yang said noncommittally. "And now the Kree people are too widely distributed, it is estimated that Ronan wants to let his subordinates have this kind of power and completely kill the human beings on the earth. No matter what, they have to deal with the Kree." After speaking, Wang Yang entered the portal directly, and Kamidal also hurriedly entered the portal. Then the two reappeared in a New York location. A Kree soldier was chasing and killing civilians here, and there was a purple aura on his body. Apparently he also obtained the power of the Infinity Stones in Ronan's hands. Roar! The Kree roared up to the sky and grabbed a civilian with one hand, but just when the palm was about to grab the civilian, a scarlet chain spurted out, tying him directly in an instant, and then slammed towards the rear, and a fiery red long sword swept across, and in an instant, the Kree was directly divided into two. After easily dealing with the nearest Kree, Wang Yang opened the portal again and walked in directly. This time, Wang Yang and Kamidal came to the city. This time, they came to the vicinity of the Empire State Building. Several Kree people were destroying on the street. A powerful magical light erupted from Wang Yang's hand, and the powerful scarlet chains were entwined. Strangled like a fiery snake, these Kree people were directly squeezed to death by the scarlet chains. Kamidar, who was beside him, was stunned when he saw this scene, and his eyes were about to pop out. Then the power of the scarlet chain is too powerful. If it hadn't appeared in front of him, he would never have believed such a thing. Originally, he wanted to make a move, and the magic light condensed in his hand could not help dissipating. Compared with Wang Yang's magic, his magic was really difficult to use. Obviously that fool is not so powerful, so he won't give people the power of God so easily, but in the end he can give so much to Wang Yang. He originally thought that he had already looked down on Wang Yang highly, but now it seems that he still underestimated Wang Yang. This Wang Yang is not human at all, no one can imagine how powerful this guy is. I am afraid that only the Supreme Master can beat Wang Yang. Can the Supreme Mage do it? Kamidal was a little sure, but after seeing the scene of these Kree being crushed directly, he became suspicious. But soon he seemed to think of something. This Wang Yang was taught by himself. I really taught a good disciple. Kamidal couldn't help but feel happy, and it felt as if he had become more powerful. Master Kamidal, are you all right? Wang Yang saw Master Kamidal froze for a while, laughing for a while, then melancholy for a while. Wang Yang thought something was wrong. I'm fine. Kamidal was depressed. If it wasn't for Wang Yang's magic, it wouldn't have made him feel so complicated. Both happy and depressed. Since Kamidal was fine, Wang Yang naturally didn't think much about it, and took Kamidal to continue to trouble the Kree. Slaughtered all the Kree from a few blocks nearby. At this time, many Taj mages couldn't use the portal, so they didn't come as fast as Wang Yang. Some Kree people who were pulled into the mirror space naturally don't have to worry. Although those mages can't be compared to him, but with mutual cooperation, they can also deal with these Kree people. Now that the nearby troubles are resolved, the biggest trouble is left. At this time, Wang Yang had already discovered the position of the highest accuser of the Kree Empire. Let's go, Master Kamidal. Let's deal with the highest accuser of the Kree Empire. Wang Yang said, and opened the portal again. At this time, in a block, it has been destroyed and has become a ruin, and almost all high-rise buildings have become ruins. Even Wang Yang couldn't help being secretly startled when he saw it. Soon Wang Yang saw Ronan and the members of the Avengers. Obviously, they also understand that as long as they deal with Ronan, all problems can be solved easily. It's just that the Avengers at this time have become very miserable. Everyone was injured, and even Hulk was thrown into countless rubble. And Thor, perhaps because of the power of the gods, hasn't fallen yet. But there are wounds all over the body. As for Iron Man and Captain America, I don't know where they went. And Ronan's physical fitness is extremely strong, and now with the help of the power of the Power Gem, he has the upper hand. Waste, I didn't kill you, but it doesn't matter. I can kill you personally to let you understand how powerful the Infinity Stones are. At this moment, Ronan radiated a strong purple light. I want to kill you, destroy your civilization, and let Carol know that I, Ronan, are not easy to mess with. Ronan roared, and the hammer in his hand emitted a dazzling purple light. The powerful purple energy spread out at this moment, and the powerful purple aura directly collapsed and disintegrated the wreckage of the surrounding buildings. At this time, Thor's eyes could not help showing a sense of powerlessness. Although Ronan couldn't kill him, he couldn't deal with him either, especially the Infinity Stones in his hands, plus his own strength. I'm afraid even his father Odin might not be able to resist. Thor has no idea who can stop Ronan from destroying. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. Ronan, this is not your carry star, our Earth is about to close, please get out. Immediately afterwards, a powerful breath swept in, and there was a shock in the air. After a while, under this shock, these purple breaths seemed to be swallowed up by the power of space, and did not escape at all. Then Thor turned his head to look, and saw Wang Yang holding a flaming sword and walking slowly. You are. Thor looked at Loki in the last war against Loki, but he never met Wang Yang, but he had heard other Avengers talk about a powerful young man. And the one with powerful power in front of him is obviously the Mage of the Earth. I'm here to help you. Wang Yang just glanced at Thor, and he could see that Thor was at the end of his power. Then his eyes turned to Ronan. Feeling the power of Wang Yang just now, if it was in the past, he might have been a little afraid, but now he has obtained the powerful Infinity Stone power, and the powerful power makes him not afraid of anyone. Even if Carol came, he wasn't afraid, let alone the kid in front of him. A tiny planet ant, how dare you stop me? Ronan said angrily. Looking at Ronan, Wang Yang remembered the dancing Star Lord. Where did Xing Lord go? But this is obviously not the time to think about it. And the hammer in Ronan's hand slammed towards Wang Yang, and a purple light went straight to Wang Yang. Wang Yang raised his hand and waved, and a shield condensed in front of him. At the same time, the purple light that Ronan shot out had already landed on his shield. Boom! A powerful roar sounded. The ground collapsed directly, and a huge pothole appeared. And although the magic shield had some damage, its powerful power did not affect Wang Yang even at all. Ronan was even more shocked. He had never seen such a move before, and he could actually resist the power of his Infinity Stone's blow. Your shield is very powerful, but how long can you resist it? Ronan didn't believe that he was relying on the power of the Infinity Stone to kill the young man in front of him. While speaking, a powerful and terrifying purple aura erupted from Ronan's body. The surrounding space seemed to be shattered like glass, and it became a piece of shards. Ronan rushed over, carrying a large number of space debris like glass on his body. The sharp black aura seemed to annihilate everything. Ding! The Infinity Stone power root fragment has been detected. Is it fusion? Wang Yang originally wanted to block, but at this moment, he actually thought of the system prompt sound in his mind. Fusion. With the fusion, Wang Yang seemed to have seen the singularity of the universe, and the terrifying forces merged into his body. A purple aura appeared on Wang Yang's body. With Wang Yang's perception, he merged this power. He seemed to see the universe before the eternity. The universe was nothing, the singularity exploded, and the universe was born. As he opened his eyes, purple light flowed. Wang Yang raised his hand and waved. The powerful magic power is accompanied by the power of the origin of the universe. The space debris that had started to rupture at this moment began to recover, as if a wrinkled piece of cloth was smoothed out again by him at this time. The cracks in space just disappeared. Thor on the other side looked shocked at this scene. He just saw Wang Yang raise his hand and wave, and the space debris actually disappeared. How is this possible? Thor couldn't help speaking. This is a space split. The most terrifying force in the world. Let alone him, even if Odin encountered such a situation, it would be difficult for him to protect himself in the space crack. But just now, the boy in front of him just raised his hand and waved, and all the cracks in the space in front of him have been restored. This is simply impossible. Even Asgard, Frigga, who is best at using magic, probably couldn't do that. This is a little too scary. This kind of understanding of space magic and mastery of magic is no longer the level of a normal mage. However, this kind of magic does not exist in his memory at all. Thor was even more shocked. Although he was reckless, he was not stupid. This magic has surpassed his understanding, and even in the universe, it is probably an extremely powerful existence. Just why does such magic appear on Earth? Thor was a little horrified. Although the Earth is the territory of Asgard, if such a powerful mage really fights with his father Odin, Odin may not be able to rule the Earth. Wang Yang on the other side naturally didn't know Thor's shock. After he used this power, the purple aura on his body began to dim and disappear. After all, the power of the cosmic infinity stones is fused together with special power, which makes it so powerful and refined, and he only fused a little bit, and it will naturally fade away. And seeing this scene, Ronan rushed over with a roar, and then the hammer in his hand smashed directly at Wang Yang. Die! The hammer emitted a huge purple light, with the power of destruction. Boom! Just when Ronan thought that this hammer could completely solve Wang Yang, the flaming sword in Wang Yang's hand lifted up to resist the hammer. There was a roar, a strong impact, and the waves were scattered, and the wreckage of the surrounding buildings was also torn apart at this moment. Impossible! How could you resist the power of the Infinity Stones? Ronan saw this scene and couldn't help but speak in anger. The Infinity Stone may be a powerful force for you, but it's just an external force. Wang Yang shook his head. Your own strength is far more powerful than the power that you can't unleash the Infinity Stones. At this time, countless magical powers appeared on the ground, and then one after another of scarlet chains rushed out from the ground, and at the same time, wrapped directly towards Ronan. Seeing this scene, Ronan quickly dodged, or resisted with the hammer in his hand, but he couldn't help but retreat. Ronan had an incredible look on his face. He couldn't imagine that someone on this planet could resist the power of the Infinity Stones, and that such a terrifying power could erupt. It was beyond his imagination. After the retreat, Ronan kept staring at Wang Yang, as if to see who the person in front of him was. Why can you resist the power of the Infinity Stones? Even Thanos should not be able to resist this power. At this time, Kamidal, who was standing in the distance watching this scene, couldn't help but look astonished. Magic that requires no hands. Even if he saw the Supreme Mage, he couldn't do it easily, but now Wang Yang seems to have done it with great ease. The key is that the powerful Ronin who fought against him is losing ground. If they were the Archmage, they probably wouldn't be able to do it. This Wang Yang seems to be getting stronger and stronger every time he fights. It is estimated that even if he is not as good as the Supreme Mage now, he is not far from the Supreme Mage. Kamidal couldn't help feeling emotional. At this time, Ronan kept retreating. Wang Yang's frantic attack made the opponent retreat step by step, and Ronan could only resist stubbornly at this time. Ronan's power may be very powerful, after all, it comes from the Infinity Stones. Under the power of the Infinity Stones, Ronan's power is extremely powerful, but unfortunately, although Ronan can master the power of the Infinity Stones, the power and skills that he can really exert are extremely rough. In this way, although the power of the source that Wang Yang absorbed has dissipated, only a little bit left is enough to deal with these Ronan's attacks. It can even smash Ronan's attack directly. The purple energy exploded directly around and spread around. Even the ground seemed to be corroded away. Not to mention the skyscrapers. But even so, facing Wang Yang's attack, he still felt very aggrieved. He was obviously extremely powerful, but at this moment, it seemed that he could not cause any damage when he hit Wang Yang. Let the other party not feel pain or itching. What is happening? Why can a human being have such a powerful magical power? The key is that the opponent's physical fitness is still so strong. It is clear that the Kree people have great power, so how could they encounter such terrifying monsters? This kind of strength made Ronan feel that even Thanos might not be able to easily defeat the opponent here. This God Earth, there will be so many monsters like this. Ronan felt extremely aggrieved at this time. Not only is there a Captain Marvel, Carol, now that Carol is not there, there is also such a terrifying magical monster. Obviously, this is an insignificant planet in the universe. But every time, Ronan could feel the pressure. I felt that I was being suppressed. Even as every minute passed, the more pressure he was under. After all, for the Martial Kree Empire, defeat is equivalent to a loser, which will be despised by the clansmen. Ronan could not accept such a result. You forced me. Ronan roared, the hammer in his hand emitted a purple light, and then the purple light merged into his body. At the same time, a powerful purple light enveloped him and turned into a powerful beam of light that went straight to the sky. And this beam of light seems to have broken through the sky, tore through the clouds, and went straight to outer space. The whole of New York seemed to see this scene at this moment. They were incomparably shocked in their hearts, watching this scene in a thrilling manner, incomparably horrified. They can even feel the incomparably powerful energy emanating from the beam of light. Wang Yang stood opposite Ronan and looked at him so quietly. It's not that he is virtuous, watching Ronan become more powerful and crazy. Instead, under the power of the Infinity Stones, a huge light shield appeared around Ronan, covering Ronan. Even his attack could not reach Ronan at all. As time passed, purple cracks appeared on Ronan's body. At this moment, Ronan seems to be like a ceramic doll with countless cracks, giving people the feeling that it will collapse and shatter in the next moment. But at the same time, his body exudes a terrifying power. An absolute oppressive force radiated from him. Is this the Infinity Stone? It's really powerful. At this moment, Wang Yang couldn't help but sigh with emotion. This kind of terrifying increase in power is almost like a hang-up. The most powerful and supreme products in these universes are also the most original forces of the universe. The power of nature is powerful. However, if the archmages like Mordu could hear Wang Yang's thoughts. Are you too embarrassed to talk about others? How powerful is the magic in yourself? Don't you have a point in your heart? Is that the magic that ordinary mages can unleash? It's almost as good as the Supreme Mage. It's so embarrassing to say Infinity Stones. The Infinity Stones are the condensation of cosmic energy. What are you? You are human. Of course, Wang Yang didn't have this consciousness directly. He felt that he was still very weak, and he still needed to work hard so that he could have some self-protection in this world. At this time, the beam of light on Ronan's body slowly disappeared, and Ronan's figure has become more and more clearly displayed in front of him. You are ready to meet death, ants. Let me use the power of the Power Stone to such an extent that you need to pay the price of death. Ronan was very angry at this time. This state is also a great burden on his body. Over time, it may cause permanent damage, even with his strong body. And now that he has unlocked this power, the people in front of him must also pay the price. Dong dong dong. As Ronan walked step by step, there was a roar on the ground. At this time, he seemed like a terrifying monster. Wang Yang can feel this pressure comparable to the Hulk. But even so, Wang Yang was still not afraid at all, slashing out the sacred sword of Emperor Weishan in his hand. Ronan raised his hand, wanting to grab the sacred sword of Emperor Weishan. Bang! Ronan directly grabbed the sacred sword of Weishandi and then suddenly squeezed it and exploded. Ding! The divine sword of the magic Weishandi has been destroyed, which has stimulated the talent, and the more frustrated it is, the stronger it will be. Although Wang Yang knows that every magic needs talent, but the magic itself becomes stronger and stronger. As the system prompt sound fell, the hilt of the sword he held in his hand condensed with a trace of light, as if the fragments of the divine sword of Weishandi that had just shattered began to fuse again. A more powerful Weishan Emperor's divine power condensed. And at this time, Ronan, who was pinching the sacred sword of Emperor Weishan, saw this scene. He couldn't help laughing and said proudly, "Do you still think that I am now, or the me just now? I'm not what I used to be, it's unusual. You can go die." When Ronan said the end, a grin appeared on his face, and the hammer in his hand suddenly swung towards Wang Yang. The huge and powerful purple energy distorted the air. Wang Yang's expression remained unchanged, and he took a step back. However, Ronan seemed to feel that he had the upper hand, with a happy expression on his face and a manic laugh on his face. "What, are you afraid? It's just a pity that it's too late for you to be afraid now. You will definitely die this time." Ronan laughed wildly. Just the next moment, the broken sacred sword of Emperor Weishan in Wang Yang's hand was restored again. At the same time, it also exudes a terrifying divine power. And even Wang Yang was enveloped in a layer of divine aura, which made him emerge with a terrifying power. It's not even weaker than the aura emanating from Ronan now. Feeling this power, Ronan couldn't help but be stunned. How can a human be able to compete with his power to release all the power gems? Chapter 91. Ronan could feel that this power no longer belongs to human beings. More powerful than he was as a Kree. Even comparable to the power emanating from the Infinity Stones. Is this still magic? Is magic so powerful? Not only Ronan, but the members of the Avengers who were present couldn't help but be stunned at this moment. And Kamidal's eyes widened. He seemed to feel that Emperor Weishan had come to the world, and Wang Yang was his spokesperson. This is too outrageous. The scene of Thor mouthing the chicken, he couldn't help but feel that his lips were a little dry, after the understanding just now. He had already learned from Kamidal's mouth that they were mages from Kamatage. There is a holy place of magic. Are all of you Kamatage so powerful? Thor couldn't help but sighed and said that any opponent he could not deal with could be resisted by anyone from Kamatage. The key is that now Ronan has inspired the power of the Infinity Stones. However, Kamatage's people can still stand against each other. This is just a Kamatage mage. Moreover, Wang Yang looks so young. According to Asgard, the older he gets, the stronger his strength, so Kamatage should have more powerful ones, such as the old-looking Kamidar in front of him. How powerful is the opponent? When Kamidal heard Thor's words, he couldn't help shaking his head. Just kidding, if the entire Kamatage people were so powerful, would they still be afraid of these people? As for the heavy casualties, how could Wang Yang represent them? It can only represent a special situation. It contains such a multi-dimensional Shandi divine power that it simply broke through his cognition of those sacred gods. To know the power of those gods, generally speaking, they can only use some of them, but filling it with their own power, even so, can still make magic extremely powerful. He simply couldn't imagine someone like Wang Yang who directly condensed so much of the Weishan Emperor's divine power. I'm afraid even the Supreme Mage can't do it. Kamidal couldn't help but cry. Obviously they are also mage, these gods will choose people. Are they treated differently? He exerted his strength to suckle, but he could only control a little of Waishandi's power. Look at Ren Wangyang, the divine power is directly present. Simply too much. The key is that, in terms of imposing manner, it is almost the same as Ronan who owns the Infinity Stones. He is a Cosmos-level warlord, and he also has a powerful Infinity Stone. In front of Wang Yang, he was like an ordinary person. At this moment, Wang Yang and Luonan were facing each other. The sacred sword of Emperor Weishan held in Wang Yang's hand gradually changed from flame to silver-white light, and the light on his body also turned silver-white, which made him seem to bring a divine aura. Seeing this scene, Ronan couldn't help being shocked, and then he gritted his teeth. What is the origin of this kid? It's too scary. He actually possesses the power that he wants to cast the power gem. It's outrageous. I don't believe your magic can be compared to the Infinity Stones. Ronan roared angrily, the purple energy on his body erupted at this moment, and the hammer in his hand exploded with terrifying power, smashing it directly at Wang Yang. During the wave, there was even a terrifying and powerful air wave, and a huge trace was left on the ground. There was no nervous look on Wang Yang's face. The sacred sword of Emperor Weishan in his hand slashed out. A sword was slashed out, as if with 1,000 forces, it crashed down. In an instant, Ronan couldn't resist. Ronan's Infinity Stones are indeed powerful, but at the expense of themselves, their power will also be limited. But Wang Yang received the blessing of Emperor Weishan without any price. That is the talent of Waishandi's sacred sword. Of course, there is another reason that the hammer in Ronan's hand can't exert the power of gems like Thanos' Infinity Gloves. Although it can bless a part of the power, it will not be able to exert all of it because of Ronan himself. In this way, it is naturally incomparable to Wang Yang's magic. In an instant, Ronan directly retreated. Everyone here can't help but look stupid. Thor felt that if Wang Yang invaded Asgard, it would be impossible to stop it, it would be too terrifying. He has not heard that there are mortals who can use such powerful magic. This is magic that utilizes the power of the gods. It's not the gods they are Asgard, but the ancient gods that are being teleported. This kind of power can't be stopped even if Ronan has the Infinity Stones. Looking at Ronan, who was in a state of utter defeat and incomparable embarrassment, how powerful Ronan was on the surface just now, and how strong the contrast is now. Thor already thought that Asgard was already very powerful, but he didn't expect that there are people outside people, there are gods outside the sky. The Earthling in front of me is much stronger than their Asgardians. The onlookers were also shocked. The sacred sword of Emperor Weishan that became extremely sacred in Wang Yang's hand, each slash of the sword brought a powerful attack. If Ronan hadn't relied on the power of the powerful Infinity Stones, he could barely support him, I'm afraid he would have been defeated by now. It seems that you can't exert the power of the Power Stone at all. Under the sacred silver light, Wang Yang looked at Ronan coldly as if a god had descended, said slowly. Hearing Wang Yang's words, it was really harsh for Ronan. As a Kree, he was taught a lesson by a weak earthling. At this moment, Ronan got angry and shouted loudly. The hammer in his hand exploded with more powerful power, and Ronan even forcibly burst out the powerful energy in his body. A huge deep hole appeared all over the ground, and the long sword in Wang Yang's hand was also shaken by this power, and he even took a few steps back. But perhaps it was Emperor Weishan's sacred sword that felt threatened, and a dazzling sacred light dazzled. Immediately afterwards, a huge phantom appeared behind Wang Yang, and he also had a sword in his hand. It was the same as Wang Yang at this time. Thor was a little shocked when he saw this scene, but after all, he didn't learn magic, so he didn't know what it meant. When Kamidal saw this scene, he couldn't help showing shock. Vision Emperor projection. How is this possible? Kamidal couldn't help but speak. He couldn't help widening his eyes, as if something impossible had happened. At this time, he was already a little unable to think. The so-called Weishan Emperor projection is not the real Weishan Emperor projection. It is the power generated by Emperor Weishan's powerful divine power to a certain extent. Those who can condense the projection of Emperor Weishan already possess 1/10 of the power of Emperor Weishan. It may be less, but you must know that ordinary mages can only use 1/10,000th, or 1/10,000th, which shows that the cohesion of divine power is powerful at this time. Once condensed, it means that the power of Waishandi's sacred sword will increase sharply. At this time, Kamadar acted like a sick fool, babbling in a daze. But it was because the scene that Wang Yang showed at this time was beyond his imagination. This is the projection of the gods. Although it does not have the will of the gods, it is not what ordinary people can imagine. After all, they can only borrow, but cannot condense the projection of the gods, which is equivalent to the direct use of divine power. Kamadar couldn't believe how a mortal could control divine power. Kamataj has countless books. However, there is no scripture that says that this is the case. That is the projection of the gods. How mortals can reach, even if Wang Yang is a genius, there should be a limit. Now that Wang Yang is able to do this, can it be possible to break the natural barrier between mortals? If so, at this moment, Kamita was a little excited. He seems to have witnessed a history. This is definitely something that can be written into an epic. It is also bound to leave a strong mark in the history of Kamataj. What kind of talent can have such a perverted achievement? In the field of magic, Wang Yang seems to have studied to the extreme, and even Kamita can believe that if you can do this, it is estimated that even the supreme mage can't do it. Kamita couldn't help looking up to the sky and sighed, tears of excitement all over his face. At this moment, when he looked up at the sky, he saw the sky above, and it seemed that a person had fallen. It looks like a supreme mage. Kamita opened his mouth in disbelief. He felt that he was going to die of shock today. Forget about that guy Wang Yang, how could the supreme mage also fall from the sky? Could it be that the supreme mage was attacked and fell off? Kamita couldn't help but feel worried. But of course Kamita didn't know. From then on, the supreme mage above the sky has an extremely complicated mood. She has been in the magic industry for countless years, and she has never been so shocked. Just now she drove the Kree Empire's fleet away. Then she saw the purple beam of light reaching the sky. After feeling this powerful wave, she immediately came down from the sky and opened the portal, but she saw a scene that made her completely unbelievable. The power condensed in Wang Yang formed the projection of Emperor Waishan. That is why Shandi's power is so powerful that it can be merged. The robe on her body shone brightly, making her stop falling. Since she is already going to outer space to deal with the fleet, she will not be unprepared. But no matter what, the scene just now was enough to shock her. This child really shocked me. Ji Yuyi couldn't help but sighed, standing in the void and looking at Wang Yang. He thought he needed her help, but apparently he didn't. In addition, the future seems to have changed. Ji Yuyi has been using the Eye of Agamotto to see what happens in the future all these years, so he didn't go to Loki's battle because she knew that the Avengers would take care of the invaders. It can also be used to test whether Kamataja's mages can protect the Earth even if she leaves in the future. She was very satisfied with Master Kamataja's performance that time. It's just that this invasion is not in the future she calculates, and the future seems to divide into countless possibilities. And all of this seems to be because of Wang Yang's appearance. Ji Yuyi looked at Wang Yang's figure with a complicated expression on his face. At this time, in the ruins, Wang Yang was holding a silver-white longsword, and a huge illusory figure condensed behind him. The powerful fluctuations caused the surrounding gravel to fly out, and some of the gravel collapsed directly. In front of Wang Yang, Ronan was enveloped by a powerful purple aura. But even so, the purple aura seemed to be squeezed and distorted. Boom! In Wang Yang's hand, the sacred sword of Emperor Waishan was cut out. A terrifying storm swept out and slashed directly at Ronan. The powerful god's power directly collided with the purple light on Ronan's body. In an instant, the purple shield rippled, and at the same time, countless black space cracks appeared, which looked extremely terrifying. Although he had the upper hand, Wang Yang couldn't help frowning. The power of the Infinity Stones is extremely powerful, even Ronan can't exert its powerful power. It was still impossible to kill Ronan easily. After all, this was a blow that condensed the power of a powerful god. With one sword, it might be possible to destroy a block, but now it cannot destroy the opponent's purple mask. It can only be said that the power of the Infinity Stones is indeed powerful, at least in this universe. It can improve a person's strength to more than one level. Wang Yang shook his head involuntarily. Wei Shandi's sacred sword may be extremely powerful, but it can only be used for fighting at ordinary times. But there is no doubt that in terms of power, it is not as good, at least it can't break the mask that surrounds Ronan. The silver-white Weixin Emperor's sacred sword in Wang Yang's hand disappeared, and the silver-white light on his body also disappeared. At the same time, the Weixin Emperor's projection behind him also disappeared. Yu reading www.yuakanshu.com. At this time, Ronan also let out a long breath. The purple aura on his body also seemed to be no longer dangerous, so it dissipated. Obviously, even if he maintains the protective mask brought by the gem, it also brings a strong consumption. At the same time, Wang Yang's attack put a lot of pressure on him. Wang Yang did not rush to deal with Ronan, but watched Ronan and the changes around him. At this time, because of Ronan's relationship, the entire block turned into a large area of ruins. It seems to be safer in the mirror space, otherwise, it will only affect civilians. Wang Yang muttered to himself. He thought that Weishandi's sacred sword could deal with Ronan just now, but since he couldn't break through the opponent's protection, he could only use the plan to fight for a long time. Wang Yang slapped his hands, and powerful magic waves condensed in his hands. At the same time, he slapped the ground violently. Boom! The powerful force spread directly with the moment he swung his hand and patted it. At the same time, the transparent aura like a mirror surface spreads directly, covering the entire area within a kilometer radius. Naturally, it also includes people in this range. However, there were only 2 people present who felt something was wrong. One is Thor, the god of thunder, and the other is the supreme mage. When he entered the mirror space, it was as if he had entered someone else's territory, and he felt uncomfortable. However, he felt as if he was being enveloped by something. Even the perception of thunder in the sky seems to be isolated. Thor's expression was a little horrified. Isn't his father Odin the only one who can do this? After all, he could borrow the Thor's hammer to feel the power of thunder and lightning, as well as divine power. But now all the feeling has disappeared. He even felt an inexplicable sense of oppression, the consumption of various powers. He even felt such a sense of oppression in his father Odin's thunder god realm. This is simply impossible. Could it be that this human being in front of him has already mastered such terrifying power? Thor couldn't help but be shocked. A sense of terror rose directly from the soles of his feet to the back of his head. It's simply shocking. This is simply impossible. How old is this guy? And his father has lived countless years. How could there be such a terrifying person in this world? And Thor naturally doesn't understand the magic of Kamatage, and can only feel the sense of oppression, but the Supreme Mage is different. She was very clear. What a powerful mirror space. Ji Yuyi couldn't help being surprised. She never thought that Wang Yang, a child, had already mastered the mirror space to such a powerful level. At this moment, she couldn't hide the shock on her face, and the indifference that could not be compared to before. Although she was also shocked when she saw the change of Emperor Weishan's sacred sword, and she thought it should be the limit of Wang Yang, but she did not expect that this magic in the mirror space also gave her a huge surprise. You must know that the mirror space is equivalent to the other side of the world, and this world belongs to the caster. And if it goes further, the caster can turn this world into his own domain. At present, Wang Yang may not have turned this mirror space into a realm, but it is almost there. And it took her nearly 10 years to turn her mirror space into such a degree. It took 100 years to turn the mirror space into its own domain. However, how long has Wang Yang been learning magic now? It has actually done so. It seems very close to even turning the mirror space into its own domain. This comparison is simply a blow. She felt that Strange was already considered a genius, and the Eye of Agamotto also saw Strange's future. As well as achievements and magical talents, they are all candidates for the Supreme Mage. However, compared to Wang Yang, it seems that Strange has become extremely mediocre. This kind of talent is not only surprising, but terrifying. At this age, the Weishan Emperor projection has been condensed, and the mirror space has become so powerful. It means that Wang Yang's future has infinite possibilities. A smile appeared on Ji Yuyi's face. Maybe the future was his. Ji Yuyi practiced for countless years, met the 5 great gods, defeated Domum, and met countless geniuses on earth. But compared to Wang Yang, it seems nothing. What will his future be like? Ji Yuyi can't imagine, but what can be imagined is that it will definitely be above her. As he entered the mirror space, Ji Yuyi was already noticed by Wang Yang. This is the space that belongs to Wang Yang, and he can also know all the information. The Supreme Mage is here, but he doesn't take any action. Is it because he wants Ji Yuyi to hand over the position to Doctor Strange, so he doesn't care about everything? Wang Yang smiled bitterly, and then remembered that when Loki invaded the Earth, Ji Yuyi was watching a play on the rooftop. But no one knows what a strong man like Ji Yuyi is thinking. Just when Wang Yang was helpless, under the power of the Infinity Stone, Ronan also began to recover, and then became infinitely stronger. If it weren't for the terrifying power of the Infinity Stones, or if they had been replaced by ordinary Kree people, they would have already died under the sacred sword of his Wyshan Emperor. In just an instant, Ronan's physical strength had completely recovered. After feeling the power of the Infinity Stones, Ronan regained his confidence. Ha ha ha, I admit that your magic is very powerful, but such a terrifying magic should consume a lot of your magic, maybe you are already unable to use it. And me, my power is infinite. Ronan raised his hands, laughing wildly up to the sky, extremely confident. Seeing that Wang Yang did not attack immediately, he believed that such a terrifying attack just now had already made the boy in front of him lose his attack power. Now is also the time, let him kill this kid. At this moment, a look of grimness appeared on Ronan's face. He wants to pay back all the humiliation just now. He wants to torture the guy in front of him and make him die in pain. Prepare to die, Ronan roared, and the purple power began to gather around his hammer. The attack is about to begin. What a terrifying power, then I can only use the wind of Vatum with all my strength. The power of the wind of Vatum, he never fully exerted it, whether it was the first time in Kamatage, or when he fought against Mordo. And this time, Ronan has the power of the Infinity Stone, and since this place has entered his mirror space, he can finally use it with all his strength. Wang Yang raised his palm, and then an insignificant whirlwind appeared in his palm. With a wave of his hand, the whirlwind flew straight out, and then the whirlwind rose against the wind. In an instant, a series of terrifying tornadoes formed one after another, exuding an aura of terrifying destruction. The expression on Ronan's face also became stiff. Is every magic of this kid so powerful? The expression on Kamidal's face became even more exciting. Isn't the wind of Vatum a support magic? Why does magic become so powerful every time it is in your hands? When Ji Yuyi saw this scene, he couldn't help but shake his head with a wry smile. Every time he felt that this was Wang Yang's limit, then Wang Yang would show powerful magic again, shocking them. Ronan's mood was extremely complicated. He thought that this kid's magic had been completely exhausted, but unexpectedly, he immediately used more powerful magic. And it almost reached the level of natural disaster. Even after a long distance, he could still feel his skin as if it had been scratched by a knife. This is not pure wind, but an aura of destruction. Even if he has the protection of the infinite gem power, he is still unable to resist this power. How much magic do you have? Ronan was extremely horrified. I am afraid that such powerful magic is usually used, and it should be too much consumption. However, Wang Yang can also use more powerful magic. He thought that after he got the Infinity Stones, he could walk sideways on Earth, and even the Avengers couldn't stop him at all. However, a human actually blocked him, and he could also cast multiple terrifying magics. Does such a powerful magic need not consume a lot of mana? Why is this kid able to cast so many powerful magics so casually? Why did he encounter such terrifying perverts when he came to Earth? Captain Marvel is, and so is this kid. Ronan looked a little ugly looking at the huge tornado in front of him. He couldn't imagine that there was magic power comparable to the Infinity Stones, and even suppressed him. However, Wang Yang took everything for granted. Ronan, your choice to attack the Earth is your biggest mistake. Wang Yang said calmly, then raised his hand and waved. The powerful storm swept towards Ronan with an aura of destruction. Ronan felt this terrifying force coming towards him, so he subconsciously wanted to dodge, but for some reason, the entire space seemed to be blocked, making him unable to move. Looking at the approaching tornado, Ronan's eyes were full of anger. He is the highest accuser of the Kree Empire. The Infinity Stones exude a powerful force, resisting powerful attacks. The terrifying tornado fell directly on Ronan's body as if carrying countless terrifying blades. Puff puff. There were countless wounds on Ronan's body. As the tornado passed, Ronan looked extremely embarrassed at this time, and the armor on his body was torn apart, like pieces of rags draped over his body. Countless wounds appeared on the blue body, and a large amount of blue blood spattered from it, and it seemed that he might fall down at any time when his body swayed. Sure enough, the defense is strong, and his physical fitness is extremely high. With such a powerful attack force, it was impossible to kill the opponent on the spot. But now, Ronan couldn't resist for long. After Ronan resisted the wind of Wadham, a purple light burst out from his body again, and the power of the Infinity Stone enveloped him again, and then began to restore his body. Your strength is really strong. I'm afraid I can compete with Thanos. Ronan opened his mouth slowly at this time, and a sinister smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. But I won't lose, I will swear to the death to defend the glory of the Kree. Even with the power of the Infinity Stone, he still couldn't restore his body right away. However, Ronan doesn't seem to be worried, and is even extremely confident. He immediately took out a beautiful bottle and poured it directly into his mouth. When Thor over there saw this scene, he couldn't help showing his surprise and shouted, "No, that's the potion for their Kree people to stimulate their potential. After drinking it, he will explode with all his potential." At this time, Thor, the god of thunder, couldn't help but be frightened and angry. This is a very precious medicine in the Kree Empire. Crafted in a very special way. The Kree Empire has always valued its own honor, and even felt that it would be better to die if defeated, so this potion was basically used when it was on the verge of death. He once saw in the ancient books of Asgard that Asgard once fought against the Kree and suffered losses in this regard. The Kree used this method to directly perish together. Even Asgard, who had a clear chance of winning, still lost both in the end, and no one got any benefit. Now that he saw that Ronan actually took out this thing, he was naturally shocked. This guy originally had an Infinity Stone in his hand, and such an explosion of energy would be even more terrifying. Wang Yang couldn't help frowning when he heard Thor's voice. But it was too late to stop Ronan. Ronan's eyes glowed red, and there were tears like ink in the corners of his eyes, which looked extremely terrifying. It's too late. Since I chose to drink the potion, you will all die today. You forced me. I swear to the death to defend the glory of the Kree. Roar. At this moment, Ronan directly raised his head and roared. The Infinity Stones seemed to have received a general response at this moment. The powerful Infinity Stone's power exploded directly at this moment, and the terrifying power spread out. Produced an incomparably powerful force. Not only that, this power also brought a terrifying aura, full of shocking feelings. His body even grew bigger, and it looked as if he had become a giant. Even if Hulk stood in front of him, it looked almost the same. Swinging the sledgehammer in his hand, at this moment he seemed to have regained his peak strength, even stronger than when he was not injured at the beginning. The powerful force was released when he swung the sledgehammer in his hand. The power of black and purple continued to shoot out, hitting Wang Yang directly. Wang Yang's pitcher shook, and a magic shield appeared in his hand. As the black and purple light fell on the magic shield, ripples appeared on the shield. Wang Yang's expression was also a little surprised. He couldn't shake his magic just now, but at this moment Ronan could actually unleash the power of the Infinity Stones. Obviously, the power of that potion is really terrifying. It seems that only Lei Ling can be used. Such a terrifying force erupted, and the terrifying force spread to all directions. Nearby Kamidal, Thor, and Dr. Banner, who had recovered from the stone fragments, as well as Iron Man, Captain America, and others all watched this scene in shock. Of course, he knew the horror of Lei Ling. Once he used his current magical talent to use it, I am afraid this space would turn into ruins. With a wave of his hand, he sent Kamidal and the members of the Avengers back to the real world. At the same time, a thunderball appeared in his hand. I can roll Chaos Thunder Spirit. Since then, the power of Chaos Thunder Spirit has been completely mastered by him. At the beginning, he was unable to fully erupt this power, and he could not even let Chaos Thunder Spirit release its power from his mind. But now, and although Ronan over there may be much stronger, he seems to have lost his mind and doesn't care what happened to Wang Yang here. He just wants to kill Wang Yang now. He doesn't allow another evildoer to suppress him. When he faced Carol, his strength did not allow it. But now he has obtained the Infinity Stones. How can others suppress him? Anyone who suppresses him will die. Be fearful, feel death. He roared, and the purple energy burst out from his body. The whole person seemed to have become a transit point for the infinity stones, and a terrifying power erupted. Die, you should never touch me with such a powerful magic. Ronan was hysterical and shouted. It's not that I shouldn't touch you, it's that you shouldn't touch me. Wang Yang shook his head, and then the lightning ball in his hand flew straight out. However, when he raised his hand, the surrounding walls and the ground began to condense in magic. Then blocked in front of him. Boom boom boom. The terrifying roar resounded, and the powerful force spread out. Even the wall building that was resisting in front of him collapsed under this force. The dazzling light spreads. After the loud noise, there was a dead silence, and the terrifying light spread, the dazzling light, the white light slowly spread, and directly swallowed everything around it. Even in the real world, they saw a piece of white light and vibration, obviously two worlds, but at this moment it seemed like they were about to be blasted away. They watched in shock as the space in front of them gradually returned to calm, as if nothing had happened. Wang Yang. Kamidal couldn't help but exclaimed loudly at this time. Then he quickly drew a circle, wanting to see how Wang Yang was doing. Although he thought that nothing would happen to Wang Yang, the scene just now seemed more terrifying than before. It would be impossible if he didn't worry. With the portal being opened, there was only a dead silence in front of me, the ruins that should have been like reality, but at this time they became barren, and everything was gone. Everything in front of him was gone, as if someone had slashed down more than 10 meters with a knife. Looking at this scene, Kamidal couldn't help but feel a little dry. He stared at a pit in front of him. Everything around seems to disappear under the radiation of this place. It was as if a huge star exploded, causing the buildings, battle marks, wreckage, dust, and the mighty Ronin to disappear. There was only one purple gem left on the spot, and it still radiated a faint light. Kamada was a little scared. Such terrifying destructive power, such destructive power. If this exploded in Kamatage, the whole terrifying Kamatage would be vaporized directly. Before, he thought Wang Yang was a pervert, but now he not only thinks Wang Yang is a pervert, but also a terrible pervert. Such terrifying power. It made him feel as if he had entered the end of the world as soon as he entered this mirror space. This kind of magic is so terrifying, he even felt the breath of death, and this was when the power disappeared. Now he really can't imagine where Wang Yang's potential is. At this time, the Avengers were also entered into the space. Seeing this scene, they all felt that they had gone to the wrong place. Before I came in just now, although the outside was dilapidated, it could be considered a building, but the whole area was gone, and there was only a dead silence. Jarvis, how is the energy fluctuation here? At this time, Tony Stark said in a lingering fear. The white energy fluctuations that happened just now surpassed his arc reactor by too much. Sir, this is the residual energy produced by the explosion of some unknown energy storm, and its power is comparable to that of a nuclear bomb. Jarvis' voice rang out. The eyes under Tony Stark's helmet widened. Such a terrifying power. Is this actually something a human can release? This unscientific. Tony Stark couldn't believe it. He thought the arc reactor on his chest was already very powerful, but he didn't expect such a powerful human being. This makes Tony Stark, who has always been very proud of technology, a little crazy. This is too outrageous. Even Dr. Banner was stunned to see the scene in front of him. As for the others, at this time, after learning that Ronan was dead, S.H.I.E.L.D. also began to dispatch to deal with the Kree people scattered all over the place. After all, Ronan, the top accuser who controlled these Kree people, is dead, and these Kree people are like headless flies. They began to collect some dangerous objects, weapons, and remains of the Kree. These things must be kept, so that the public cannot know or obtain them, otherwise it will cause big trouble. As for the reconstruction of various houses, they also need to be re-outsourced to various companies. Civilians may suffer from such an unwarranted disaster, but for some companies, this situation is tantamount to making a lot of money. But these things have nothing to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. After they checked all places in New York, they collected all kinds of dangerous items. After that, an area was directly blocked. After all, the battle affected a serious area, and it was inevitable that some interests would be exchanged. Between some people, it is necessary to exchange some interests. For the powerful, this is all wealth. It's just a few deaths. For those high-level people, they don't care at all. Nick Fury was having a very hard time dealing with these things at this time. Sir, General Ross hopes we can share some Kree weapons and corpses for them to study. At this moment, a SHIELD agent came over and said respectfully, "Let him go away." Nick Fury didn't hesitate. Did General Ross forget that he caused trouble like the Hulk before? He directly ruined a catastrophe in New York. Dare to get weapons now. He really disliked people like General Ross. Okay, you don't need to tell me more about these things, just reject them directly. In addition, all these things must be sealed. Nick Fury said coldly he is well aware of the dangers of these Kree people. These alien creatures have already descended on Earth in ancient times. Many human genes have traces of their modification. If someone borrows the corpses of the Kree to transform themselves, it will also bring huge trouble to their work. Anyway, it can't be handed over to those who control the real power, otherwise General Ross may create a second hatred. Alright, Agent Hill, have you found the Avengers? Also, have you found the identity of the mysterious person who appeared? Nick Fury turned his head to look at Agent Hill and said, "No, sir." Agent Hill shook his head and said, "It seems that the Avengers Gate has completely disappeared, we can't find them at all. We've scoured the neighborhoods thoroughly and couldn't find them at all." Hearing Agent Hill's words, Nick Fury frowned, and then said directly, "Then keep looking, make sure to find them." "Yes, sir," Agent Hill said. "Okay, in addition, have you found the information about the person I want you to find?" Nick Fury spoke again. "According to the information given to us by the intelligence side, this person is an orphan who was born in an eastern country, but disappeared a year ago, and no one knows where he went. The last time it appeared, it was on the battlefield where the Chitauri invaded, and it seemed to have some kind of superpower. Since the investigation is not clear, then continue to investigate. I want his detailed information." Nick Fury frowned. He didn't like this feeling of ignorance. With the search of his subordinates, Nick Fury finally found his Avengers after half a day. They were in the most damaged neighborhood, right next to Queens. It's just that when he found these Avengers, he found that there was something wrong with their emotions. A few Avengers looked like they were thrown a swipe at them, their faces stunned and unlovable. Even Dr. Banner and Tony Stark, who have always been very rational, are the same. Nick Fury frowned. "Now, who can tell me what happened?" He glanced at it for a week and said. But unfortunately, no one spoke. The Avengers were unusually silent. Even Captain America. What happened? When Nick Fury saw them like this, he couldn't help being a little stunned. Obviously the Kree commander has been killed, but why did the Avengers become like this? "Stark, tell me what happened." Nick Fury looked at Tony Stark and said. Tony Stark glanced at Nick Fury. "Director Fury, do you believe there are gods in this world?" Tony Stark said very seriously. "In my mind I recalled what happened not long ago. In the space of the ruins, it collapsed and turned into a little light, and a figure walked out. It was the young man. Under the power of that terrifying power, the fluctuations of destruction can still escape safely. Isn't this a god?" "God? What nonsense are you talking about, Stark? Even if there is a god, he must follow our rules." Nick Fury snorted coldly. "Director Fury, that's because you haven't seen a truly powerful force." Tony Stark just gave him a disdainful look. Nick Fury was a little dumbfounded when he saw this scene. What's going on here? Isn't Tony Stark with his nostrils upside down every day? Isn't it impossible for anyone to obey in front of you? How did it suddenly become like this? Captain, tell me, what exactly did you see? Nick Fury couldn't count on anyone else at this time, and could only look at the most reliable Captain America ever. "Sir, I used to think that the existence of the Avengers could bring peace to New York, but now I have some doubts about the meaning of our existence." At this time, Captain America was full of hesitation and doubts. Look at the strength of others, and then look at your own. He has been fighting all his life, and he is full of fighting spirit. But he has never been as confused as he is now. Why, someone can be so powerful. With such powerful people protecting the Earth, do you still need them in the Avengers? They are like green leaves. Captain, why did you become like this? Nick Fury felt like he was hitting a ghost. You must know that the captain has always been very firm and steady. But now these people are like a collective evil. It seems that it is necessary to arrange for a psychiatrist from S.H.I.E.L.D. to help them. Nick Fury looked at Black Widow. He believed that his agent would give him a reasonable explanation. Natasha, tell me quickly, what exactly did you see? Sir, I'm afraid you won't believe me if I say it. That's really incredible. I don't even know how to describe it now, and I have never seen such a scene. Black Widow thought about those terrifyingly powerful magic and the waves of destruction. Thinking of this, she trembled all over. This is actually something people can release. And such a terrifying power, can they really resist? Nick Fury's eyes widened when he heard Natasha's words. Natasha is the most elite agent of his S.H.I.E.L.D. She has a firm will, and it is the top existence among human beings. What did they see that makes the members of the Avengers so decadent? Even the two agents under him. Nick Fury was full of doubts at this time, but no one could explain it to him. Naturally, Wang Yang didn't know that his performance made the entire Avengers become suspicious of life. At this time he was in a forest. Kamidal was by the side. In front of them were several comatose people, namely Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Beside them is the spaceship. They came in this spaceship. Star-Lord woke up shaking his head. Where is this place? Who are you? As Star-Lord woke up, Wang Yang and Kamidal were immediately discovered. Where's Ronan? Star-Lord stood up and looked around. Ronan was gone. He only remembered that Ronan and others caught up with them. Although they fled, they were inevitably caught up, and then the cosmic spirit ball was taken away. Ronan is dead. Wang Yang shook his head and said. Dead? That cosmic ball. Star-Lord looked at Wang Yang. Since Ronan is dead, the cosmic spirit ball must fall into the hands of the person in front of him. However, after seeing the power of that terrifying spiritual ball, they originally wanted to send it to Xandar. Where is the Nova Corps? We put it away. Do you want to go back? Wang Yang looked at Star-Lord. Such a terrifying power. For the Guardians of the Galaxy, there is not much ability to protect it. Even the Nova Corps can't protect such a powerful force at all. If you send it to Xandar, it will only bring disaster to them, without any benefit. No, you keep it. We have no interest in this horrible thing. It has nothing to do with us if it explodes. At this moment, Rocket Raccoon shouted. He also woke up a long time ago, but he just pretended to be in a coma. Hearing Wang Yang's words, he couldn't help jumping up. Just kidding. After seeing the explosion at the collector's last time, he already wanted to throw it away. If it wasn't for Gamora's insistence on taking her to the Nova Corps, they wouldn't have been hunted down by Ronan. Now that someone accepts such a terrible gem, they are naturally the best. In that case, you can leave now. Wang Yang nodded. In addition to sending away the Guardians of the Galaxy this time, it was also to tell them. Wait, if this is put here, Thanos won't let you go. At this moment, Gamora also frowned and said. Star-Lord looked over with an unexpected look, and co-authored, are these people awake? Only wake up at the latest. And still not prepared. But Gamora ignored Star-Lord's gaze, looked directly at Wang Yang and said, do you know how powerful Thanos is? Gamora looked at Wang Yang and didn't think Wang Yang could resist Thanos' conquest. I don't think the small planet Earth can resist it either. The Nova Corps is a major force in the universe, maybe. Maybe it can resist Thanos. It's just that Gamora didn't say it, because she wasn't sure either. The tyrant would have collected the Infinity Gems in the first place. There is already one here, and there is no exception. As for the Nova Corps you mentioned, it will only be vulnerable to the tyrant. And I defeated Ronan who mastered the Infinity Stones. If Thanos wants to come, just come. Wang Yang is non-committal, although he still doesn't think he can defeat Thanos, but now there is a supreme mage on the earth, and his magic will become stronger and stronger, so he may not have the power to fight Thanos. Compared to other places, it will only become the power to make Thanos stronger, so it is better to put them here. Since you have decided so, let's stay with you. Star-Lord quickly stopped Gamora who was still trying to speak, and then whispered to her, forget it, if he wants to keep it, keep it. And they can already prove their strength if they can deal with Ronan. When Gamora heard Star-Lord's slip, she had something to say, but she could only open her mouth at this time, but in the end she didn't say anything. Master Kamidal, let's go. Now that the matter has been resolved, Wang Yang naturally won't stay here any longer. Master Kamidal drew a circle, and then the two walked in. Disappeared in front of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Wow, these two people have crossed over. Seeing this scene, Rocket Raccoon said in disbelief. Do you really want to give them the Cosmic Spirit Ball? Gamora said worriedly. That kind of thing is also very dangerous in our hands. If they want to stay, let's stay. Star-Lord breathed a sigh of relief at this time, at least a hot potato in his hand was taken away. Let's go. Star-Lord waved his hand and walked towards the spaceship. Groot, stop pretending. Star-Lord rolled his eyes. I'm Groot. Groot got up and pretended to be unconscious. Drax, are you still pretending? Star-Lord smiled wryly. Everyone else looked at Drax. Star-Lord, he is really in a coma. Rocket Raccoon laughed. Then Groot dragged Drax into the spaceship. Under the thrusters of the spaceship shot straight into the sky. Wang Yang and Kamidal returned to Kamatage. Wang Yang wanted to continue to live a peaceful life. The gems were kept by the Supreme Master, so he was very relieved. Every day is to quietly learn a little magic, but within a few days, the Supreme Mage called him over again. The Supreme Mage is still in her room, making tea. On the side, there is a small fan that she often holds, holding a magic book in her hand. After seeing Wang Yang coming in, the Supreme Master looked up at him. Come on, come and sit. Wang Yang nodded respectfully, then sat down opposite her. Supreme Mage, what are you doing here with me? I have something I want to ask you. Ji Yuyi raised his eyebrows and asked. Supreme Master, whatever you want to ask, just ask. Wang Yang nodded and said directly. What do you think we should do with this gem? When the Supreme Mage turned her hand, a purple gem appeared in her hand. A purple aura spread out, but the next moment, this power seemed to disappear. Then the gem in her hand didn't seem to have any sense of power. It looks like a plastic product. Wang Yang couldn't help but shudder in his heart. He deserves to be a Supreme Mage. This is an infinite gem. As long as ordinary people touch it casually, they may be directly destroyed by this powerful force. However, in the hands of the Supreme Mage, it is like an ordinary stone. The Supreme Mage is indeed unfathomable. Wang Yang had a respectful look on his face. It's obviously not appropriate to send it out. Wang Yang shook his head and said. The Supreme Mage nodded and said, ordinary forces may protect this power, but they will also bring disasters because of this power. In front of a real strong man, he is completely vulnerable. Moreover, the Guardian will not use the power of gems at all, and will only give some more powerful powers for nothing. Then what do you say about the Infinity Stones? Just put them in Kamatage. Ji Yuyi looked at Wang Yang and asked about his plans. Wang Yang was silent for a while, and said to himself, needless to say, it is naturally the safest to put Ji Yuyi here. After all, Ji Yuyi is not even afraid of Dormammu. If Ji Yuyi himself hadn't died, Thanos wouldn't have easily invaded the Earth, causing half of all living beings to go extinct. Although Thanos is to prevent the birth of the group, who would be willing to lose their relatives, so it was only delayed for a few years, it is better not to be exterminated. That's good, I'm very relieved of your strength, and you will be responsible for taking care of this gem from now on. Ji Yuyi made his own decision. After sealing the Infinity Stone with magic, he threw it directly to Wang Yang. Wang Yang hurriedly took it over. He really didn't understand why Ji Yuyi gave him this gem. Supreme Mage, I think, Yuyi reading should be the most suitable for you to keep. Wang Yang said strangely. The Supreme Mage now has a gem in charge, and it doesn't seem like a big deal to have one more now. I guard one, you guard one, it's very suitable, as long as you don't rely on the power of this gem, it's fine. Ji Yuyi said, if you want to go further on the path of the strong, don't rely too much on the power of gems. Otherwise, your path will be corroded and assimilated by it. The stronger you are, the more so. Of course, this is also a powerful force, it just depends on how you choose. Ji Yuyi said cautiously. She is just for power, and then allows herself to absorb the dark power. I understand, Supreme Mage. Wang Yang was holding the Infinity Stone, and his heart was full of surprise. No matter what, in the Marvel world, the strong will not go to get the Infinity Gems, and these gems are generally placed in remote areas. It's impossible to say that these powerhouses don't know about these infinity stones. They didn't look for them at the time, obviously they all knew. Perhaps because these gems can gain powerful power in a short period of time, but they are harmful and useless. Okay, take this thing, go. Ji Yuyi had already made a decision, and Wang Yang was not allowed to refuse. After Wang Yang respectfully saluted, he turned and left. Ji Yuyi looked up at Wang Yang's back with hope in his eyes. After this incident, she already had the intention to train Wang Yang as her successor. She wondered if Wang Yang would perform better than her under the temptation of power. Wang Yang took the gem back to his room. The power of the Infinity Stones is very powerful, even if it is sealed by the Supreme Mage with magic. He could still feel the powerful force in it. However, after being reminded by the Supreme Mage, he naturally would not take the initiative to use this Infinity Stone easily. At this time, he looked at the gemstone with a lavender light. Ding! Detect the world's original gene energy, is it absorbed? Your genetic talent has a chance to mutate and improve. As the system remembered the prompt sound, Wang Yang couldn't help being a little surprised. Indeed, the Infinity Stones are not only powerful, but also contain powerful energy. Originally, his interest in the Infinity Stones was limited to enhancing his strength, but now it seems that his talent can be enhanced, which makes him even more interested. I even feel that if I have the opportunity in the future, I must collect it. Absorb. Although he had already absorbed some power during the battle with Ronin just now, the difference from just now is that this time the energy is clearer. As his voice fell, he seemed to see the beginning of the universe again. Ding! The magic Weishan Emperor's sacred sword has been mutated and upgraded. Wang Yang's eyes were full of surprises. The power of Emperor Wei Shandi's sacred sword had already increased several times during the battle with Luo Nan, but he did not expect it to increase again now. It seems that the Infinity Stones really have an effect that others don't know about. Maybe there is a chance in the future to borrow the Time Stone, and maybe it can change his magical talent even more. He thought so in his heart, and then Wang Yang waved his hand. A crystal silver and purple long sword appeared in his hand. With the fusion of the power gem energy, his Vishandi sacred sword turned purple like a silver-white crystal. He doesn't know how powerful it is, but it looks better than pure silver. At this moment, Ji Yuyi has also been paying attention to Wang Yang. Seeing that he actually used the power of the Infinity Stone as soon as he returned, a hint of disappointment flashed in her eyes. Sure enough, even a talented person like Wang Yang would lose himself in the face of such a powerful force. In this case, it is easy to go astray. She didn't want Wang Yang to become the second Cassius. Fortunately, it's still early to find out, and unlike Cassius, he can be guided slowly, I believe. At this moment, Ji Yuyi couldn't help muttering to himself. She paid attention to Wang Yang, preparing how to guide Wang Yang. But suddenly she seemed to feel something. Her hand holding the small fan couldn't help but her chin gradually opened. What kind of power is this? This is not the power of the Power Stone. This is what Wang Yang felt from the power gem, the magical power derived from it. How is this possible? Ji Yuyi's complexion changed drastically. She raised her hand and waved, entered the mirror space and went directly to Wang Yang's room, looking at Wang Yang holding the silver-white crystal-like long sword, glowing with purple light. Sure enough, his judgment just now was wrong. This kid Wang Yang actually realized something from the Infinity Stones and merged it into his own magic. This is simply beyond common sense. You must know that even she can't do it. Even now Wang Yang has only realized a little bit and changed his magic, even though it is only a small part, but this is already very incredible and abnormal. You must know that she had never seen and heard of it before. Such talent, simply shocking. This time, Ji Yuyi, who was originally worried that Wang Yang went astray, could not help but feel relieved. For Wang Yang, although the Infinity Stones are powerful, they will not be abused and lost. Ji Yuyi turned around and left, feeling even more determined that Wang Yang was her future heir. Wang Yang naturally didn't know about this. He just thinks that this Infinity Stone is very powerful. For him, it is definitely impossible to master at present, so Wang Yang believes that magic is the most suitable for him in this world. And the power of the power gem is powerful, but unfortunately ordinary people can't use it, and it is easy to kill itself. Even Thanos used the power of the Infinity Stone to destroy half of his body. Iron Man died in order to snap his fingers. At such a price, an ordinary person could not resist him. Of course he didn't like it. But now, he really didn't expect that he could absorb the power of the Infinity Stones. If you have the chance, you can collect Infinity Stones. Perhaps his magic will be significantly improved. A smile appeared on Wang Yang's face. Knock knock knock. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Wang Yang was stunned. Who came to him? Wang Yang put away the sacred sword of Emperor Weishan and opened the door. I saw Mordo and Strange standing outside. Master Mordo, what's wrong with Mage Strange? Wang Yang said politely. Strange heard that this time you participated in the invasion of the Kree Empire and performed strange magic, so I came to see it this time. Mordo said with a smile. On the side, Strange curled his lips involuntarily. Obviously he wanted to come and see. I had to talk about him, but after all, it was Mordo who taught him cultivation, so he couldn't say anything. Huh, strange magic. No. Wang Yang was stunned for a moment, then remembered the mutated Weishan Emperor's sacred sword, and said, it is the Weishan Emperor's sacred sword that Mordo will also be able to, it's not some strange magic. Hearing this, Mordo couldn't help but be stunned. Just the sacred sword of Emperor Weishan. I heard that it is a huge phantom, standing upright, like a descending, holding a silver long sword in his hand, standing upright. This is actually just the sacred sword of Emperor Weishan. Who are you fooling? Why didn't he know that Wei Shandy had such a powerful change? Although Strange was pulled by Mordo as a backer, he was very curious about what this magic was. Now I can't help but be shocked when I hear it. He also knew about Wei Shandy's sacred sword, but he didn't know that this magic would be so powerful. I heard that it caused the heaven and the earth to shake. It was simply epic magic. Is the magic of the holy sword of Wei Shandy so powerful? Why does he only have one sword? Strange was taken aback for a moment. Could it be that Master Wang Yang didn't want to let them know? At this moment, Strange and Mordo had this idea at the same time. Why don't you show it to us? I believe that Wang Yang, as an archmage, should be able to mention Strange. Mordo was really curious, what kind of magic was this, and he pulled Strange again. Mordo is now completely flat and can't compare with Wang Yang, so he doesn't care if Wang Yang is stronger than him. Strange glanced at Mordo. Although he had something to say in his heart, he still nodded. He also wanted to take a look. Wang Yang looked at Mordo and Strange, and nodded helplessly. Seeing Wang Yang's agreement, Mordo and Strange couldn't help but be overjoyed. Mordo raised his hand to open the mirror space. After all, Wang Yang's magic could easily cause major accidents. Wait, my mirror space magic has also improved quite well recently. Why don't you enter my mirror space and try it? Strange suddenly suggested. He also had his own thoughts for making such a proposal. After all, in his own space, he could feel the details of Wang Yang's magic more clearly. Oh, okay. Mordo was noncommittal, and then said, let's stay away from Kamatage. After all, Wang Yang's magic is too terrifying, just in case. Then let's get close to the mountains. Strange said with a smile. As he said that, he opened the portal, entered the mirror space, and quickly arrived near the mountains. Let's go here, Wang Yang, let's demonstrate it. Although it's in the mirror space, it's still quite cold. Mordo urged. Wang Yang nodded, waved his hand, and before he chanted the magic spell, a silver-white light lit up in his hand. A purple aura emanated from the inside out. Then, a long sword with a gorgeous silver-white crystal emitting a purple light appeared in his hand. At this moment, Mordo and Strange couldn't help but be taken aback. Without magic spells, they are not unusual. After all, with the proficiency of magic, a lot of magic can be cast without the help of props, magic spells, or even just waving your hand. However, the power will also be reduced appropriately, but now the power of the long sword in Wang Yang's hand is condensed and extremely powerful. Mordo and Strange couldn't help but be shocked. This is actually the sacred sword of Wei Shandy. But it doesn't look strong. Although it seems that Wang Yang's magic is very strange, it is different from theirs. If that was the case, they would be a little disappointed. Then Wang Yang waved lightly. Click. It sounded like the sound of glass breaking, and in front of the purple blade of light, the space shattered directly. Strange's mirrored space didn't hold back a moment at all. Strange was stunned. How did you do it? He knows the importance of mirror space, so he has been practicing mirror space, just to strengthen the power of mirror space. The reason why he proposed to enter his own mirror space is also his recognition of his magic. Who knew that Wang Yang's handy sword was torn apart? The key is that after the power of this sword tore the mirrored space, it directly cut off a mountain in front of them. Boom! With a loud bang, the mountain fell directly from the flat cut. With sliding, the incision was like a mirror. At this moment, Mordo and Strange couldn't help being stunned. Fortunately, the mountain in front of me is not Mount Everest. Otherwise, it is estimated that the avalanche would fall directly and flood Taj. But even if this mountain is not Mount Everest, it is a towering mountain, and it disappeared at this moment, lying flat on the ground. Moro turned his neck a little stiffly and looked at Wang Yang. Are you sure it's the sacred sword of Emperor Weishan? Didn't you mean there was a huge phantom? I thought you weakened your power, but I didn't expect you to condense it. Moro was shocked in his heart. He could only think like this at this time. Maybe it could indeed produce a powerful phantom, but it would be even more powerful after condensing it. Otherwise, how could it be possible to cut off the mountain directly? The key is that this power is weakened by Strange's mirror space. Although Strange has just learned magic for a while, his magic talent is indeed powerful. He also has a good grasp of the magic of mirror space, and ordinary magic cannot be destroyed at all. Otherwise, Mordo would not agree directly. But now Wang Yang's magic is broken just by touching it. He had some doubts about whether Wang Yang was a human, and broke the mountain with one sword. That was a mountain near Mount Everest, and it was flattened directly. Mordo couldn't help but look stupid, not to mention strange. When he saw this scene, his whole body stiffened. Although I know that Master Wang Yang's magic is powerful, but every time he can open the door to a new world for him. He never imagined that the power of magic could reach this level. Just like a god. No wonder the mages who saw that scene were all gods descending. Although there was no such huge phantom, the power was enough to be called a god. And this is in mirror space. It's not that he hasn't tried it. All his magic can't destroy the mirror space. As a result, in front of Wang Yang, he shattered the mirror space with just a swing of his sword. He couldn't even imagine that he was just swinging his sword at will. It must be the result of condensing the powerful magic power, and that's why he did all this. Even though Wang Yang deliberately strengthened his magic, it was really appalling. But it's better than someone who smashed the mirrored space with a single wave, and also shattered a mountain by the way. After seeing Wang Yang's strength, Strange even felt that the magic he had learned was simply weak. Wang Yang was also very helpless at this time. How did he know that a single blow of his own would be so powerful? At the beginning, he used the huge power of Weishandi, and he couldn't even break the position of the power gem. Now, after absorbing the original power of the power gem, his power has grown by leaps and bounds. Directly tear the space and cut off a mountain. It seems that magic like this should be used sparingly in the future, otherwise, I don't know what kind of trouble it will cause. And although what he destroyed was a mountain that was not very tall. But after all, this is near the mountain range of Mount Everest. If it attracts the attention of countless people, then Taj will be exposed. So he felt that he was in big trouble this time. Wang Yang, your magic is too powerful. Now I'm afraid you need to report to the Supreme Master, hoping to restore the current situation. Otherwise, a mountain disappears for no reason, and it will definitely cause world turmoil. After all, Modu was an archmage, and he recovered after a while, although he was still extremely shocked and his voice trembled. I also understand how much turmoil this change will cause now. Okay, I get it. Wang Yang nodded and smiled bitterly in his heart, knowing that he would not demonstrate. Who knew there would be such a big change? Even the mirror space couldn't stop it. Wang Yang, Modu, and Strange returned to Taj. There was no change in Taj, but they were in a complicated mood. Master Mordo, I happen to be. Master Mordo, why did you leave? Strange, why are you? What's the matter with you? A mage came over and seemed to have something to say, but Mordo and Strange walked away on their own, looking lost. What happened to Master Wang Yang and the others? The mage turned to look at Wang Yang. They may have been in hell. Wang Yang said helplessly. When the mage heard Wang Yang's words, he was at a loss as to what it meant to be a ghost. With the strength of Archmage Mordo, if there are really ghosts, it is estimated that he will not be afraid. However, Wang Yang has no time to explain more to this mage. He quickly finds the Supreme Mage and solves the trouble. Otherwise, the Everest mountain range would have been cut off by a mountain, and the impact would have been too great. Originally, the mage wanted to ask more questions, but when Wang Yang turned around and left, he looked inexplicable. Are everyone in such a hurry? Wang Yang, you came to me, what's the matter? The Supreme Mage was standing at the door at this time, playing with a small fan in his hand, and looked into the distance. His face was extremely calm. Supreme Mage. Wang Yang directly explained everything that happened just now. I heard Wang Yang's words. During the demonstration of magic, the mirror space was torn apart and a mountain was cut off. When the Supreme Master heard Wang Yang's words, he couldn't help being stunned. If it wasn't from Wang Yang's mouth, it is estimated that the Supreme Master would not believe that such a thing would happen. After all, even if the mirror space is her, it is not so easy to destroy, but Wang Yang said that the demonstration magic tore the mirror space. It's enough to tear it apart, and cut off a mountain directly. To achieve the mirror space, it is already extremely powerful, otherwise, it will not be a place for mages to practice magic. Even if the mirror space is really torn apart, the power of magic will be reduced to a certain level, and there is not much power at all. How could it be possible to cut off a mountain? Maybe it's just the smallest mountain among them. Because a corner collapsed, the entire mountain collapsed. It's not impossible. After thinking about it this way, the Supreme Mage thinks it is more reasonable. Let's go take a look and talk about it. The Supreme Mage didn't say much. He immediately took the Eye of Agamotto and followed Wang Yang to the mountains. Afterwards, the two came to the Mount Everest mountain range together. In front of them was a snow-capped mountain range, and one of them was empty, as if there should be something in the middle, but now there is a feeling of emptiness in the middle. When the Supreme Mage saw this scene, the corners of his eyes twitched. I don't know why she has a bad premonition in her heart. After a while, she saw a huge stone pier appeared in front of her. The stone pier was dozens of meters wide and had a flat-cut surface, as if it had been artificially created. At this moment, she couldn't be calm. If it just collapsed, the mountain would collapse. You cut it directly and made the entire mountain collapse. Is it something a human can do? Fortunately, this mountain is not too high. Otherwise, it may cause an avalanche in the surrounding snow-capped mountains. The Supreme Master glanced at Wang Yang and couldn't help feeling emotional. Is this kid still human? The Supreme Mage sighed, and then made a reconciliation with his hands on his chest, and the eyes of Agamotto shone brightly. A green ring of light appeared in his hand, and at the same time, the severed peak flew up again and returned to the huge stone pier. As it gradually merged with the flattened peak, the appearance of the mountain was restored. Ding! Detected the time magic talent. Is it fusion? Wang Yang couldn't help showing a happy expression when he heard the system's prompt sound, but he didn't expect that even the magic of the Supreme Mage using the Eye of Agamotto could be detected. Fusion. There is no hesitation in integrating talent. Although he doesn't have the Eye of Agamotto, he can fuse this time magic with other magics, but he needs to think carefully about what kind of magic to fuse with. With the fusion, countless memories and changes of time magic appeared in Wang Yang's mind. The Supreme Mage over there has restored the mountain to its original appearance. You can see how amazing the power of the Time Stone is. It can change a lot of things. If it wasn't for the Eye of Agamotto, Dr. Strange couldn't bother Dormammu to leave. Even the dark powerhouses of Dormammu were annoyed and lost their temper, not to mention the restoration of the mountain. However, for the Supreme Mage who has always maintained the laws of nature, it is not so good. After Ji Yuyi finished restoring the mountain, he glanced at Wang Yang. In the future, you should go to outer space for your experiments, not on Earth. Understood, Supreme Mage. Wang Yang smiled wryly and nodded. Looking at Wang Yang's clever and sensible face, Ji Yuyi felt helpless. Kamatage has been hidden on the earth for so many years, and no one has found the trace of Kamatage. I didn't expect that Wang Yang had only been here for so long, and there would be such a big commotion, which was bigger than what they had done hundreds of years ago. It really made her a little troubled. This kid can only be restrained a little. With Wang Yang's current strength, it is not impossible to go to outer space with a portal. But before that, She really wanted to see what kind of magic Wang Yang used to tear apart the mirrored space, and even split the mountain directly. If Wang Yang didn't know the depth, he wouldn't know what he would do in the future. So she had to let Wang Yang know what it means to be tall and earthy. Wang Yang, open your mirror space and show me what magic you have. Ji Yuyi said directly. This is not good. Wang Yang was a little helpless. The mountain was only repaired. He really didn't want the mountain to collapse directly again. Since I said it, there is no problem. And with me here, I won't let you hurt the mountain again. Ji Yuyi is naturally very confident. Although she will definitely die in the future, she still has to teach Wang Yang a good lesson to prevent anything bigger from happening. Hearing Ji Yuyi's words, Wang Yang thought about it and seemed to agree. How powerful the Supreme Mage is. That is the powerful force that destroys the stars at every turn. In front of her, his magic can only be regarded as a child dancing sword and not worth mentioning. Then ask the Supreme Master to give some advice. Wang Yang raised his hand and waved, and a piece of space shattered like glass. Ji Yuyi watched Wang Yang open the mirror space and nodded slightly. At this time, Wang Yang also condensed a silver-white long sword with purple light in his hand. I'm about to shoot, Supreme Mage. Wang Yang said respectfully. He was about to cut out a sword and show the Supreme Mage his magic. Ji Yuyi had a faint smile on his face, disapproving. Seeing that the Supreme Mage did not respond, Wang Yang raised the long sword in his hand, and then swung a sword directly. Ding! In the face of the strong, the more you get frustrated, the stronger your talent becomes. Wang Yang was stunned for a moment. The last time he triggered the more frustration, the stronger he was, but he directly condensed the projection of Emperor Weishan, and this time he absorbed the power of the Infinity Stone. If he stimulated this again, I am afraid. But he wanted to stop, but it was too late. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.